All the way up front, sir, and I'll swear you in when you come up here. If you could remain standing and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the testimony of this matter to be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
I bet he does.
Microphone. Spell your first and last name for the reporter.
Yes, my name is Jason Ruff. That is JASONRUFF, as in Frank.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. McNeil.
As in,
How are you
wow.
employed?
I work for the Wisconsin Department of Justice, Division of Criminal Investigation, as a digital forensic examiner.
Okay, can you just tell us briefly what a digital forensic examiner does?
Yeah, so a digital forensic examiner conducts forensic examinations of digital evidence. So anything from cell phones, computers, really anything that houses ones and zeros within it is what I'm examining.
He's a real matrix man.
And you said that's the Wisconsin Department of Justice?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 54.
Thank you.
And welcome back to the show, you guys. I appreciate you joining us again. This is day 6, part 2 of the Mark Jensen.
Is that your
murder.
resume or CV?
This is, yes.
All right, so I'm going to put that on the screen as well.
Apologize for my absence this morning. We've been dealing with the sick house and appointments and good times.
Okay, so can you tell us first, let's go to your education, what education you have that qualifies you to be in your current position?
Yes, so I got my undergraduate degree from University of Wisconsin Oshkosh back in 2012. And then from there, I got a master's degree in criminology and from the John Jay College of Criminal Justice back in 2015. I have to reference this, 2014, my apologies. And then Utica University, I got a graduate degree, a master's degree in cybersecurity with a focus in computer forensics. And then from there, I've done numerous trainings. Just to name a few, I did training with the FBI's cell phone analysis surveillance team. I've done SQL, which is like a computing language with UWM through the police department, Milwaukee Police Department. Through my actual education, my master's degree, I got a certificate in cyber defense education. I have training in X-Ways, which is a forensic tool that we use frequently nowadays. I've gone twice to the National Computer Forensic Institute, which is run by the United States Secret Service for advanced forensics and forensic scripting.
Not a secret anymore.
In addition to that, I've gotten several different trainings from the National White Collar Crime Institute. Some, to name a few, were intermediate digital forensics, specifically for SQLite, which is, again, that SQL, that computing language, advanced forensics in cell phone and Mac forensics. And I also have a certification with the Economic Crime Council for forensic hacking investigations.
But do you do emails?
So not only do you have this master's degree in computer forensics, you also have these additional trainings.
Correct.
And then every day your work has to do with computer forensics.
Yes.
How are you with AOL dial-up? Because we will be dealing with
All
that.
right. So just going through some of your prior work experience, it looks like you worked for the New York City Department of Probation in the MAP unit. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so the MAP unit, this was an internship actually, but it was specifically, it's basically their analysis unit. Because New York City is such a large city and they house probably some of the largest amount of people under their probation, the specific project that I was generally tasked with was their step down program, which was essentially analyzing what individuals on probation were doing and basically seeing if they were ready for alternative treatments outside of general probation standards.
And that had to do with statistics?
Yeah, more statistics.
So you're doing a computer side of that sort of study?
Yes, yeah.
All right, so now I want to talk about your work with the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. What did you do there relating to computer studies or computer work?
Yes, so I was a project analyst, research analyst with the Department of Corrections. Specifically, what I worked on is there's a federal law called PREA, which is the Prison Rape Elimination Act. And at the time, the Department of Corrections was trying to implement and create a unified investigative database so that they could track their investigations as they were going along, while on top of that, tracking and ensuring that they're were meeting the standards of the PREA. I was one of the project leaders in helping implement that. So from 2015 to 2015 to 2016, I pretty much assisted in creating that program.
And so that was creating the database?
Yes.
And the tracking system?
And the tracking system, yes.
Okay, and then before your current job, you worked for the Milwaukee Police Department?
Yes.
And what did you do there?
So for the Milwaukee Police Department, I worked in two locations. My main location was in the Fusion Division, which is like an intelligence gathering division. Specifically, I was focused mostly in sensitive crimes and human trafficking. So I'd work with their sensitive crimes division. What I do specifically in that is analysis on major incidents as they relate to sensitive crimes. Specifically, a lot of cell phone analysis as we use cell phones in our daily lives frequently, that frequently came up, and kind of matching it between multiple different investigations.
And then finally, with the Wisconsin Department of Justice, what do you do every day?
So every day, Wisconsin Department of Justice, it is acquiring and analyzing digital evidence. So kind of growing off of what I did in the Milwaukee Police Department, which was analyzing the actual data itself. In the Department of Justice, I also acquire that data, ensure its integrity for court purposes and investigative purposes. And I make sure that the results that I get are accurate. And
Okay, so if there's a piece of digital evidence that would have relevance to some kind of criminal investigation comes to the Wisconsin Department of Justice, then you're one of the analysts who takes a look at that.
correct. That is
And
correct.
so what kind of devices are we talking about?
So there's a wide range of devices, specifically lots of computers and cell phones. On top of that, surveillance systems. It could be body cam footage. It could be pretty much routers, servers, anything that really houses information that we would use, or we would call like information technology. So those ones and zeros that travel through our fiber optic lines.
Okay, and you've been doing that since March of 2020?
Correct.
All right, so now I want you to tell us in your job, if you're assigned a case that has a computer that you need to analyze, what do you do to conduct that analysis?
So to conduct that analysis, you never want to, if you can help it, you never want to actually do the full analysis on the physical device, because what you're actually examining in digital forensics isn't necessarily the physical device, it's the information that's stored on that physical device. So what has to be done, so let's say a computer, is you remove the storage device, which is usually a hard drive. With that hard drive, you then plug it into what's known as a write blocker that can either be software or hardware. Now, the reason why you want to use a write blocker is you prevent overwriting of data, accidental clicks on things that you don't want to mess up that evidence. And then from that write blocker, you plug it into your forensic workstation and you do what's called imaging. So that is the actual acquisition of those ones and zeros. And so once you gather that image, which is a bit for bit copy of the actual hard drive itself, you can return the hard drive itself back to the computer, use that image, and you usually want to make copies of those images. Just it's always good to have redundancy in forensics, and that is what you're actually examining off of.
Okay, and so what is this image called? Is it a forensic image?
Yeah, forensic image.
Okay, so a forensic image of the device. And is that true of any electronic device? Like we talked about a computer, but is that what you would do with a cell phone?
So cell phones are slightly different because cell phones rely a lot more on cloud storage, and they rely a lot more on like active network connections. To an extent, you can do that with a cell phone. Cell phones, because the data itself is generally proprietarily held by different applications that you may have, different operating systems that are on the cell phones. The way that you acquire that data, you generally don't use a write blocker with a cell phone. That's pretty much the biggest difference between a cell phone and a computer.
And
Well, tell us
is this
something we
even
don't
true
know.
for external devices? Like if you had like something as simple as a thumb drive to analyze, would you make a forensic image of that?
Yes, you'd make a forensic image of that. You'd use a write blocker, go through the same procedures as you would with a computer.
Now, is this procedure that you've just described that you do in your daily work, is this like the standard across forensic analysts?
Yeah, I would say this is pretty much the standard, and it's been the standard.
So it's not unique to you or unique to Wisconsin?
Absolutely not.
And so as long as there have been write blockers and the ability to make these copies, that's what has been done.
Correct.
Now, for this particular case that we're here to talk about, you were not the first analyst on the case, correct?
That is correct.
Because that would have been 1998.
Yep.
And what were you doing in 1998?
I was probably in middle school or elementary school. I have to go back and.
Okay, so we didn't give this to an elementary school child. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
However, you were assigned to review
I was
this
getting ready to
case.
graduate.
And
Just
so
saying.
did you access the forensic image of what was designated item A, the Jensen home computer?
I did.
And who is the person who made that forensic image?
Brad Haller, examiner Brad Haller.
Just saying.
And did you do anything to make sure that the forensic image you were looking at was an exact copy of that hard drive that would have been in the home computer?
Yes, I did. So one more step, and this is a step that is true of no matter what electronic device
He's like a grown boss
you're dealing
baby.
with,
He
is
knows how to
there
do
are
things.
these different things called hash values.
Right.
And what hash values are is
Hashtag put me to
a
sleep.
person who's not necessarily well versed in computers, it's going to look like a long string of numbers and letters. Now, the way that these hash values are created are by the different complex algorithms. At the time, they used what's called the Media Digest 5 algorithm,
hash.
which even today is still the standard algorithm that you use. Now, what it does is it takes aspects of that actual physical device, so that hard drive that we're actually copying, and it calculates out this hash value that you get. And then what happens after you're done imaging the actual
This guy's definitely
computer
worked some
itself,
hash value.
you take that forensic image and then you hash the forensic image and compare the two hash values together. If they're a match, you know you have a bit for bit copy. If they're not a match, you don't. So for this case, I took the original images and their original hash values that they had as they were compared to the physical copies that were done back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then I rehashed the images themselves and found that the image was an exact bit for bit copy.
Okay, so that's just to verify that you are in fact looking at an exact copy of this hard drive from the Jensen home computer.
Correct.
Now, before we get into some more details, this is a computer that you were looking at from 1998, correct?
Correct.
And so I imagine technology has changed since that time.
It's changed vastly. Yes.
So how is a 1998
I love
computer different
technology.
from a computer that you might receive today?
So in comparison, a computer from 1998 is far smaller in terms of storage, how much you can store in the actual computer. I want to say nowadays the average computer has between 256 gigabytes and 500 gigabytes of storage. This computer was around 10 gigabytes of storage, 10 to 12 gigabytes of storage. So that right there is a sign. In addition to that, computers nowadays,
Anybody else wanna say
because
good?
everybody wants to have every device they have connected, generally automatically connect to the internet and to cloud servers, which wasn't even a thing back then. I don't know if it was even a concept back then. So they're pretty rudimentary. At most, they're pretty much just storing files, and they weren't as adopted as they were nowadays. So not as many people had computers back then. If you had access to computers, it was usually through your workplace or school. A lot of the times, even through schools, it might be one or two computers in the actual school that the kids have to work on.
Oregon Trail, baby.
In terms
What?
of, it's night and day. It's kind of like a if you're comparing like a prehistoric human to a modern human, there's aspects of them that are the same, and you can see where things grew out of them,
I feel
but
triggered.
the differences are vast.
And so when you examine this computer, how did this computer access the internet?
Through a dial-up internet. So you would actually have to, and for those of you who remember, you would have to actually plug into a phone line to get access to the internet, and you get that fun dial-up noise and have to wait and hope that nobody answered the phone or pulled you off of that.
Okay, so for this computer that we're going to be talking about, we've learned that this computer was booted on December 17th of 1998. And so when you're examining this case and you have that knowledge, what are you looking for when you're doing your examination?
So with that knowledge, well, first of all, that's a huge no in terms of digital forensics. You want to leave a computer in the state it's on. So what I'm looking for with the knowledge that that device is on is I'm seeing where there may be timestamps that may have changed. So like the most recent timestamps would have been from December 17th. I'm looking to see where those timestamps are in the actual system itself so that I know what was actually being done in the computer on December 17th. In addition to that, I'm kind of seeing just really anything that was done on that date, just to see what I can rely on and what I can't rely on.
So are you saying that when you see something occurred on this computer on December 17th of 1998, then you know it can't be attributed to any suspect?
Correct. It can only be attributed to whoever was manipulating it on that day.
And because you have that knowledge that it was booted, you wouldn't have any reason to confuse the actions of the person who's the suspect versus the person who booted it on December 17th.
Correct.
And so when you're talking about there being, as a result of turning on this computer on December 17th, when you talk about there being date changes, are you talking about dates changing to December 17th or anything else?
Yes. So in computers, to make it as simple as possible, there's basically 3 different areas on a computer. There is your user area, which makes up the vast majority of the actual computer. So that's the thing that everybody interacts with. There's the system area, which is usually kind of like the hidden files, the files you're not dealing with, or the files that you might go deep into your computer and look at and say, I have no idea what this is. And then there's the unallocated space, which is that empty space, deleted files, all that fun stuff. The updates that happen on that system file, because computers themselves, and this is true to today, I mean, a little bit more complex nowadays, computers are essentially giant filing systems. So they're keeping track of things such as when a computer is actually turned on, when a computer is turned off, what programs are being accessed. So those would be the dates that are actually changed on that December 17th date.
And then you would see, instead of whatever date there was before, you would see December 17th, 1998.
That is correct.
And so whatever value having the prior date would have been, it just doesn't exist anymore.
That is correct.
And when a computer is rebooted, is it possible that some things are overwritten?
So yeah, unfortunately, because of how certain devices work, and even nowadays, we only have limited amount of storage on computers. The way that they're programmed is that generally the older items within their certain file paths generally are overwritten as things are manipulated and changed in that sense. So, for example, in this situation, the last logon dates and things like that would have been overwritten and amended to that 2017, December 17th time frame. In addition to that, things and automatic processes that might have been set up when you turn the computer on, they might have been initiated, which could have caused some potential issues there.
So then, in cases that you analyze, other cases, you sometimes get devices that the police have not been able to seize until days or weeks after the crime. Is that correct?
That's very frequently.
Okay, and so once the police are able to seize a device, they wait and send it to you and have it copied and write blocked like you've told us, right?
Correct.
But obviously from the time of the crime till the time the device is seized, there's no control over what's happening with that device.
Absolutely, yes.
It could be turned off, turned on. The suspect may try to delete things. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's an accurate statement.
And so sometimes do you try to look and examine if you can find deleted things on a computer?
We look to see deleted things that have been partially overwritten all the time in digital forensics. It's one of the main things we do when we first get into and acquire.
And that's something that was done in this case as well.
That's correct.
And then also I want to make clear whether some things did not change as a result of the computer being booted on December 17th, 1998. Okay. So during your testimony, we're going to talk about a lot of dates and times. When you are testifying to a date or a time today, when you're shown that date and time, there's no reason for you to believe that that would have changed as a result of the computer being turned on December 17th, 1998.
That is correct.
So for instance, if we're talking about searches that happen on the computer on December 2nd or December 3rd of 1998, and we see a date and we see a time, there's no reason to believe that the December 17th event changed that date or time.
That is correct, yeah.
And in fact, if the date or time was changed as a result of turning on the computer on December 17th, 1998, then the date you would have seen is December 17th, 1998.
That is correct.
Share the stream if you guys would, please.
All right, so I'm going to
group you can
start by
find.
showing you, this is on States Exhibit 55, and this is a PowerPoint presentation.
If you want to support what I'm doing here, guys, please share the stream at min. That's short for minimum because I'm getting my computer lingo.
Now, when we when you're testifying about this Jensen home computer, I first want you to tell us whether there was anything in the internet history for this Jensen home computer that would have been visible to someone who is a user of the computer after or as of December 3rd, 1998.
No.
And so first off, let's break this down and tell us, what is internet history?
So internet history, I'm going to try to break it down for what most of us see as internet history is what we're looking at when we literally go to our internet history tab and see what we've been looking at. In addition to that, you have other things such as, so let me step back just a little bit. So when we're talking about going on the internet or surfing the internet, it's somewhat of a misstatement. What we're actually doing is downloading the internet or downloading those sites that we're having. So there are traces that are left on our computer. Those traces, specifically among many different files, are known as HTML files. So that is basically the code that makes up each of those websites. Those can be saved, and generally those are saved in your temporary internet history. So when the reason for a temporary internet history is so that the computer, it takes a little bit less of the stress off of the computer for loading the actual websites themselves. So that is one type of internet history. Another type of internet history could be cookies, which I'm sure we've all heard of cookies. If not, essentially it's just a term, an industry term that's used for different types of artifacts that are used to essentially initiate and help the actual websites themselves take some of the stress off of them. They can house anything from past passwords that you might have saved on those websites, sizes of your actual browser so that it renders correctly and you're not getting weirdly sized lettering, anything from that. And then you have your actual, what we see as internet history, which is the physical websites that you went to.
All right, so I'm guessing that most people, when we're thinking about internet history, we're thinking about, we go on our web browser and there's some button you click at the top that says history, and then all these websites you've been to recently show up. So are you familiar with that?
Yes. Okay.
And was that the same on a web browser or on the web browser on this 1998 computer?
It was slightly different, but fairly similar to what it was in a modern browser in terms of that kind of internet history.
Okay, so on this 1998 Jensen home computer, if someone turned on the browser for the internet and then looked at the internet history, does anything appear?
No, nothing appeared.
And if we know that this computer did access the internet, was accessing the internet for months, why would nothing appear in the internet history?
Likely it would have had to have been deleted, and older internet history would have gotten overwritten after time.
But in terms of this computer that was initially seized on December 3rd of 1998, and then first turned on December 17th of 1998, and then analyzed after that, if it had been on the internet, we should have seen something there, right?
Correct.
And so the fact that you don't see anything there means the user deleted it?
Yes, it's indicative of user deletion.
Stop your flirting.
Now, is there another place on the computer? So if we move past the browser and what we're all familiar with, clicking on the internet history, is there another place on the computer where a user could access internet history?
Yes. So specifically in the 1998 computer, you can go through, well, and I should say in modern computers now, but specifically for the 1998 computer, you would have to go through the actual file system itself. You'd have to go into the Windows path and navigate your way to that actual internet history, get to that, and then delete it. And that
what are these files you speak of?
Delete it from the computer without,
Okay, so in order to show us on the Jensen home computer what the internet history or lack thereof looks like, what did you do?
So one of the great things about the forensic images that we collect is they're also very similar. Well, they're the exact same thing as when, let's say that something happens to your computer, you have to go take it to a store and physically recreate it. They do something very similar to that. So what I was able to do, because it is a bit for bit copy, an exact copy, I'm able to do what's called a virtual machine. What a virtual machine and is essentially, it's a computer, a guest computer running on a host computer. So what I did is I recreated the desktop and the computer as it was, not connected to the internet, using that virtual machine or using that forensic image, so that I could follow the file paths, and I'm not just looking at it from like a forensic back standpoint point of view where I'm not looking at like ones and zeros and things like that. I'm looking at it as if the user is actually looking at it.
Okay, so as the user would see it. All right, so then I'm showing you the second slide here, and I'm going to play this, and then you can tell us what this is.
Your Honor, before we do this, I do believe that at this point, it would make sense that we actually get this into evidence, and I think that not doing so is problematic for the record.
Sounds
Has this
amazing. Jimmy Lynn.
exhibit been marked?
It has. This is Exhibit 55, and I would move it into
Blue Ridge
evidence.
Mountains, Virginia. Yeah, I want to hear all
Good.
about
I
that.
would simply ask for more information about how this was created and who created it.
Well, I thought you said to move it into evidence, and I just did.
Ridge Mountains.
Okay.
Oh,
So
he's got to get
I'm-
the computer guy to
I
show
mean,
him
you
how to.
could ask him the questions.
Okay, so you're familiar with this PowerPoint presentation, correct? And it shows the data from the Jensen home computer.
Correct.
And this is something that you personally analyzed.
Yes.
And so the exhibit is a visual aid, correct?
Yes, correct.
For the data that you saw on the computer.
Correct.
Okay.
Try to get out there and check it
So
out.
let's go back for a second because this is a video that we're playing. So I have to start it over.
Jensen home computer. That was in like time, not even Times New Roman. That was in just typewriter print. County in Virginia. 5th largest county in Virginia. Huh? I'd love to see some pictures of that, man. That sounds beautiful. Shoot me some pics. CJ at cjtv.live. I'd love to see where everyone's coming from. Anyone's got pictures of their hometown or whatever, home cities, home state. Shoot me some pictures
Okay,
at
so
cjtv.live.
What we're looking at on the screen here is
Can-
that
hang on, can we just close that window for a second? Hopefully that's not my car.
Or mine.
I got to give you guys this good.
Thank you. Go ahead.
okay. So what we're looking at here on the screen is this actually the Jensen home computer?
Correct.
They
This
got-
is the virtual machine that was created with the forensic image.
Okay,
And
so
do you
this
guys
is
remember
not
this?
some other Windows 98 computer or an example of what a Windows 1998 computer would look like.
Correct.
This is what the Jensen home computer had on it
Yes.
Like
in
Washington.
terms of Internet Explorer.
Correct.
Okay, and then what you showed us in this video, well, actually just tell us, what did this video show us?
So what this video specifically showed is if you're on the computer, if you went into the actual web browser, how to delete the internet history.
Okay, and so then what were you doing here?
So I was going to the internet. Here, let me look this way. It's easier. I was going into the Internet Explorer browser. I went over to the History tab, and where it shows today, that would be where the internet history is, and then you would click delete.
Okay, and in fact, when you did go into this Internet Explorer, you did not see in this particular area of the computer any prior internet history,
No.
which indicated that it had been deleted.
So because this is the virtual machine and it's not connected to the internet, this specific image wouldn't necessarily show that aspect of it. It would show it in the file path. So I can't say that about this specific video, but based off of other examinations, when I went into my actual when I looked into the actual index files and things like that, the actual system information, that's where I saw that there are discrepancies between what's there and what's in deleted or not space.
Okay, and so in terms of this particular video that you showed us, this would be one way of deleting the internet history on this computer, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and now moving to the third slide, can you narrate for us as this slide plays what's occurring here?
Yes. So we are back in the actual website, the actual virtual machine. I have to go into Windows Explorer and scroll down in the C drive. And then I am going over to the Windows tab, which is within that file system. And scrolling down to that history tab, and then seeing the today internet history. And then that would be how you delete that.
Okay, so if a user of the computer were to try to delete the internet history in Windows Explorer, these steps that you've just shown us is what the user would do.
Correct.
A lot of people are
Okay,
taking notes right
so
now.
now tell us, based on your examination of this computer, was there evidence that the user was deleting the internet history?
Yes, there was evidence that internet history was being deleted. Yes.
And tell us about that.
So I'll put a caveat there, because because the internet history is overwritten after a certain amount of time, and because the computer was turned on the 17th, what I can tell based off of underlying system files, history that goes 20 days back had been deleted on that computer, and it was deleted on the 29th of November, the 2nd of December, and the 3rd of December.
Okay, and so based upon your analysis, you could at least see those 3 separate times that the user had deleted internet history.
Correct.
Now, in your analysis of this computer, were you in fact able to recover internet history?
Yes, I was able to recover much of the internet history.
Okay, and so is this something that you would need your specialized software to do? So
Trip.
in terms of an analysis, just turning on the computer and searching for the internet history wouldn't be good enough?
Yeah, you need a windmill.
No, yeah, you would need
chisel.
specific forensic tools to actually get that and recover that internet history.
Okay, so if someone had booted on this computer and tried to find the internet history based upon the deletions that you saw, they wouldn't be able to find it.
Correct.
So what were you able to do using your forensic tools?
So what I was able to do, so if you remember, I told you there are 3 different areas. So there are what we're going to talk about is the system areas and the unallocated space. So when an individual deletes information, specifically in this case, the internet history, as I said, the computer itself is a machine that's basically a filing system to assist humans. So when you're deleting your internet history, what you're essentially doing is removing it from your site, removing it from anybody who might go onto it. But the computer itself still has that information logged on it.
Did he
The
delete?
reason for that, well, there's many
Yes.
reasons for that. It assists
brain is
in
big.
the computer's just basic functions and all of that kind of information, so that it can gather those websites faster the next time that you want to go on to them. The other is the unallocated space. So computers have a bunch of free space on it that is unused, and then that's where the information gets written to it. When you delete something, rather than it actually just wiping away and turning those ones and zeros into nothingness, what it does is it de-indexes it from the actual computer itself, so that when you're looking at it through the operating system, to you, it appears that it's no longer there. What actually that is it's a space called unallocated space, which is basically freed up so that the computer understands that as more and more things get written onto it, it can write over that information.
And so is this the general idea that just because you, the user, think you're deleting something from your computer, it doesn't mean it's gone?
Correct.
So you think you've deleted it, you can't find
summarize.
it on your computer anymore, but an analyst using forensic tools might be able to find it.
That is correct.
And is that what you did to find the internet history on this computer?
That is correct, yes.
And did you, in fact, compile a document of internet history or an Excel spreadsheet of internet history?
I did.
All right, so this is also on State's Exhibit 55. So I'm going to
For the
bring
love of
this
God,
up.
just show us what he did.
And so if you look, State's Exhibit 55 on the screen here, the Excel document entitled Internet History Central Time. Is this what you compiled of the internet history on this computer?
That is correct.
All right, so if we zoom in a bit.
I just want to be clear. This is the prosecution's case right now. Just all prosecution until they rest, then defense will have the chance to prepare or to present their case. So that's the way this works out. It's in two parts.
Okay.
Prosecution,
So we see at the
rest,
top
then
here,
defense. So it's all
we
prosecution
see
right now.
stuff from
Witnesses,
December 17th
evidence.
of 1998. Would that be the computer being booted on that day?
Yes.
Okay,
Remind you
so
guys,
you
the other
know
day they
when you're
clicked on
analyzing
one of
this
these things and it
computer
just was
that that's
flash
not
porn on the
attributable
screens.
to any suspect.
Correct.
Okay, and then the internet history after that starts on 12/3 of 1998 at 9:42 a.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so what we're looking at here is this all of the internet history that you were able to compile from this hard drive.
This is as complete as I was able to compile from the computer. Correct.
All right, so before we go further, based upon your review of the hard drive of this computer, can you tell at least an approximate date when this computer began to be used?
Based off of the information that was on the computer around July 6th of 1998.
Okay, so that's when it appeared to you that this computer started to be used.
Correct.
Now, you talked about going on the internet and how that actually involves some degree of downloading things from the internet. Can you explain what is actually downloaded when someone's going on the internet?
So, and you can't really see it in this, but well, yeah, you can. So when you are going to a website, especially
Yellow.
back in the day of dial-up, if any of you who had dial-up remember the way things would render, the pictures would sort of kind of do like a scrolling motion. That's them actually downloading to your device, and it's slowly being rendered on your actual computer. So if you see something, for example, this is just an example, but the GIF, the GIF files or
Linda
GIF
got
files, those would be pictures on a specific website.
Is it GIF or GIF?
That was on there. So that is kind of the information that's being downloaded. Specifically, it's doing that so that, again, the system, when it goes back to it, it can re-render those files a lot quicker the next time you go on.
So for this computer, based on this concept that you've just described for us, is it possible for us to actually see, at least partially, some of these 1998 websites that were visited?
Yes, that is correct.
And so now this internet history, this complete internet history that you compiled, are we able to see all of the websites on this internet history?
No, you are only able to see what is either recoverable in that unallocated space or what is already in the temporary internet history.
And so if there's an HTML file associated with the internet history, are we able to then see it?
Yes.
Okay, but if the particular internet history on this list that you've compiled does not have that associated file, then you can't see the website.
That is correct.
Okay, so on the presentation that we're talking about, When we see a website on that presentation, it's because you were able to recover from the computer the HTML file for that website.
Yes.
But not every website was that possible for.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so before we get to that, though, let's go to. All right, so let's zoom in a bit on this. Were you able to map out day by day when the internet was being used on this Jensen home computer?
I was.
And is that what we're going to see various slides that look like this, monthly slides? Is that what these slides represent?
Correct.
So what we're looking at here, July of 1998,
Yes.
you were able to find in the internet history, for example, internet activity on this Friday, 2:43 p.m. to 2:44 p.m.
Correct.
And then Saturday, 1:23 p.m.
Correct.
Then if we move over, Sunday, 4:57 a.m., 5:26 to 5:26 a.m.,
That's correct.
and then 5:14 p.m. to 7:11 p.m.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, during your review of the internet history of this computer, was there internet activity in the normal working hours, let's say about 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.?
Very sparsely.
So almost never?
Yes.
And so when was the internet most commonly accessed on this computer?
So the primary usage that I saw was primarily in the early morning hours and late night hours or evening hours.
Okay, so let's just look at the month of July. We have Sunday and then Monday, 1:21 a.m. and then 10:06 p.m. to 10:08 p.m. Is that
Correct.
accurate?
Yes, correct. Sorry.
Okay, and then again on Tuesday, we have very early morning internet activity,
Correct.
and then late at night internet activity, 11:51 p.m., 11:53 p.m. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay, so then going to Thursday again, 11 something at night internet activity.
Correct.
Friday, early morning hours internet activity, 12:14 to 2:02.
Correct.
And then Saturday, 1:17 a.m.
Correct.
And then once again, the next week, so we are on Tuesday, 12:51 a.m. internet.
That is correct.
Then the next Wednesday, 9:35 p.m.
That is correct.
And then going to the end of the month, early morning hours, that's Sunday.
Correct.
And then early morning hours the next Monday.
That is correct.
Then on the 30th, so that would be Thursday, early morning, and then late at night.
Correct.
Okay, so during the whole month of July, the only time during the week that the internet was accessed during like normal work hours was this July 10th, 2:43 p.m. Now, if we look at the Excel spreadsheet, can we see what was accessed at this time?
Yes. Yes, yeah.
All right, let's take a look at that. So we have to go all the way down to July 10th. Oops. All right, so we see July 10th, 2:43 p.m., and then I'm just going to scroll up until we get past that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so these are based off of the actual file extensions themselves. Those are more system files related to the actual internet. I wouldn't be able to say fully based on the age of the actual files themselves obviously who and how specifically that they were being rendered, but those are files that come natural at the time with Internet Explorer. So for example, if you're first starting up a computer, or around that time you're first starting up a computer, certain files have to continually update themselves. And at the time, because computers weren't naturally connected to the internet, whether you left it on and let the computer upload, or you turned it on specifically at that time to get those files to upload, that's kind of what those files are specifically. They're not necessarily websites themselves. They're the actual remnants of things that were programmed into Internet Explorer and Windows at the time.
So, for example, in a little while, we're going to see actual like browsing sessions on the computer where you can see the user going from website to website, correct?
Correct.
And that is not what you see on July 10th of 1998.
No.
All right, so that was the only time during regular work hours in July, correct?
Correct.
All right, so then moving to August, let's zoom in on August. All right, so once again, Monday, August 3rd, we see early morning hours internet activity.
Correct.
Same with the Wednesday, the 5th, early morning.
Correct.
Also the 6th, early morning.
Correct.
And then Saturday, the 8th, late at night.
Correct.
Now moving to the Sunday, the 9th, early morning hours.
Correct.
Nothing the rest of the week. And then finally, we have 2 Sundays here. So we have Sunday, the 23rd, 1:09 p.m. And then Sunday, the 30th, 3:37 a.m. and 10:28 p.m.
Correct.
All right. So during normal work day hours in August, you did not see any internet activity.
That is correct.
Okay. Now let's go to September.
And again, keep sharing the stream if you would, please, guys. We're trying to get this up to 100 shares today. That's our goal.
All right. So on
Like
the
a group,
Friday,
Friend
late
group,
in the evening, 10:21
I
p.m.
sell
Is
trade.
that correct?
That is
whatever,
correct.
community group,
And then Saturday, 3:12 p.m. and 9:03
to
p.m.
your mother.
That is correct.
Sunday, early morning activity, and then in the afternoon, 2:12 p.m., 4:10 p.m. to 4:49 p.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Monday, early morning activity and late in the evening activity.
That is correct.
Tuesday, early morning activity.
That is correct.
Then the 9th, early morning activity.
That is correct.
And once again, we're on September. The 11th, early morning activity.
Yes.
The Sunday, there's afternoon activity, 4:32 p.m.
Yep. Correct.
And then the 14th, early morning activity, very early morning, 12:31, and then early in the morning, 6:27 a.m.
That is correct.
So then that Thursday, we once again have early morning activity, the 17th, correct?
Correct.
Then Monday, the 21st, late at night.
That is correct.
24th, late at night.
That is correct.
25th, early morning.
That is correct.
And 28th, early morning, and then late at night.
That is correct.
Okay, so during the month of September, during the week, during normal business hours, no internet activity.
Not that I was able to recover, no.
All right, so now there's a few of these websites I want to now show you for September. So what you were able to recover, where we can see the actual website, okay?
Okay.
So I'll just ask you a few questions about those. All right, so first off, this screen here, what does this tell us?
So that is an HTML file. So as I said before, an HTML is essentially a scripting language for websites. And when it's a .html file and you're using a web browser, it's able to read that code and then populate what the website looks like. So what this is a HTML file entitled intranet stifle. So that it's a HTML file from that website.
Okay, and when we see these screens, we're going to see these type of screens repeated over and over again, right?
Yes.
So it tells us the date that this website that follows is accessed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then it tells us the time.
Correct.
And then it tells us the HTML file.
Correct.
Okay, so then what we're going to be doing right now is browsing some 1998 internet.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, so this is very small,
So excited.
but is this Stiefel intranet,
That is correct.
the HTML from that?
That is correct, yes.
And so how would one access an intranet for a company back in 1998?
So back in 1998,
Garen,
again,
we're not
it's
sure.
different than this. You would obviously go to your web browser, type in your actual, whatever the URL is, which is the website, the long string, the www dot whatever's in the middle.com, and then you'd access it that way. And then for Stifle or Stiefel, you would have to do some sort of login information through my analysis of this. They used, I believe, Exchange. So that would have been Windows, which would have been like an Outlook or a Windows-based email server that they amended so that it had their names on it and everything like that. And that's how you would get into it.
Okay, so again, this is the Jensen home computer,
Correct.
right? And so you saw that on Sunday, September 6th at 1:40 a.m., the user of the computer is accessing the Stiefel intranet.
Correct.
And in order to do that, you said that you saw they had to enter some kind of Microsoft Exchange password or?
Yeah, they
username?
had to go to the website and then essentially log in.
All right, and then same date, just a little after this, do we see the user accessing emails?
Correct.
And on this home computer, these emails that were accessed appeared to be from someone by the name of Kelly Labonte.
That is correct.
And so in your analysis of this computer, did you see a variety of emails between Kelly Labonte and Mark Jensen?
I did.
Now, from what you could tell, this is accessed through his work email, right?
That is correct, yes.
And so is that the same how people do it today, accessing their work email?
Primarily, if people are accessing their work email, I guess it depends on where you're working, but either you would have to have access to your internal system, or I suppose if they're less secure, you could go to a website and just log in. But usually, yeah, most of the time people don't have a personal and a work email.
So the user of this computer was accessing Stiefel work email
Correct.
through dial-up internet.
Through dial-up. Yep.
All right, and then shortly thereafter, this is where you see the actual emails, right?
That is correct.
And so again, a bunch of these were recovered from this computer, correct?
Correct.
All right, so now let's go to the times for October of 1998, the times of internet usage. Now, if we look at the very beginning of the month of October 1998, we are not seeing internet activity during that time period, correct?
Correct.
None that you were able to recover.
None that I was able to recover, no.
So these 3 days, beginning of October, no internet history.
That is correct.
Okay, so then going to Sunday the 4th, you were able to recover internet activity in the late evening hours.
Yes.
Then the 5th, early morning hours.
Yes.
The 7th, late evening hours.
Yes.
The 8th, early morning hours.
Yes.
The 9th, early morning hours.
Yes,
The 10th, there's some in the afternoon.
that is correct.
So that's a Saturday, right?
Yes.
Saturday the 10th. And then evening hours.
Yes.
Now moving to Sunday the 11th, you see afternoon activity
Correct.
and then evening activity.
Correct.
Okay, so moving to Monday, early morning hours, correct?
Correct.
And then late evening hours.
That is correct.
Then moving to the 13th, early morning hours.
That is correct.
And then late evening with the bottom entry, 11:46 p.m.
That is correct.
Moving to the 14th, so this is a Wednesday, the 14th,
That is
early
correct.
morning hours.
Correct.
And then 9:17 p.m.
That is correct.
And then moving to 10 p.m. to 11:57 p.m.
Correct.
Okay, then Thursday, early morning hours.
That is correct.
And then later that evening.
Yes.
Okay. Friday the 16th, early morning hours.
Correct.
Later that evening.
Correct.
The 17th, early morning hours.
That is correct.
Okay. Then the 18th, early morning hours.
Correct.
And then 6:51 p.m. to 6:54 p.m.
That is
What's
correct.
up, Shelly?
And then 9:30 p.m. to 10.
Karen,
I
how we
think
doing,
that's
Racine?
10:18 p.m.
Correct.
Okay. Then
Yeah.
Monday,
5 weeks.
the 19th, early morning hours again.
Correct.
So then we see again a gap of days, October 20th through the 24th with no internet activity, correct?
Correct.
They actually
Then
dug
starts
that
up
phone line
again,
in the front yard.
October 25th in the evening,
Yes.
October 26th in the evening,
Yes.
later evening. The 28th, early morning,
Correct.
29th, early morning.
Correct.
And now we do have something on the 30th at 11:56 a.m., correct?
That is correct.
Other than the 30th, during the regular days of the week, during normal work hours, 8 to 5-ish, there's no internet activity, correct?
That's correct.
And then there's this gap like we talked about at the beginning of the month and then here in the third week of the month.
Yes.
Okay, so now if we want to see what was happening on the 30th at 11:56 a.m., can we go to our Excel spreadsheet?
Yes.
Okay. I think when I zoomed in, I lost the date. Let's go to. All right, so October 30th, 1998, 11:56 a.m. And for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's not large enough, the date disappears. Whoops. Okay, so what is happening at that time?
So that specific thing is a cookie that we talked about. Cookies frequently update themselves based on connection to the internet.
Okay, so this internet activity that was noted is not a browsing session.
No.
Okay. And that's the only daytime internet activity during the month of October during the week.
Correct.
All right, so let's go back to the 1998 internet. So now, once again, we see one of these screens with the date and the time and the HTML, correct?
Correct.
And so on this October 5th, early morning hours, we see some emails being accessed, correct?
That is correct.
And once again, these are the emails with Kelly Labonte, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And shortly after these emails are accessed, what is this page?
This is a page. It appears to be a like financial page or website of some sort.
Okay. And did you see pages that appear to be from this website pretty frequently?
Yes,
Okay. And then it says on the bottom here, thestreet.com.
that is correct. Yes.
So like Wall Street.
Yeah, Wall Street.
Okay. Shortly thereafter, more email.
Correct.
Email. Okay, now moving to October 9th, early morning hours. Email again.
Correct.
Jensen, Kelly Labonte.
Correct.
Email again, Mark Jensen, Kelly Labonte.
Correct.
All right, so then moving to Sunday, October 11th at 2:37 p.m. So this being a Sunday, this is midday browsing, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And this website that we see appears to have something to do with phishing.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how come when we're looking at the 1998 internet, how come we can't see whatever these things are?
So the little boxes with the X's, those are the other things in that browsing history that you see that don't have that HTML. Frequently, those are tied to advertisers. So the website administrator themselves isn't the person who's actually controlling what goes inside of those. It's whatever advertiser is currently in those spots. So those were not recoverable since they frequently change.
Okay, and so when we're looking through the websites and we see this kind of box with the red X, that's an HTML that couldn't be recovered.
Either an HTML or an image or something, some
Well, did you?
sort of file.
So it could be a picture of
Did
something.
you?
Could be a picture, yes.
All right, so looking at the same Sunday, more phishing,
Correct.
right? Okay. Then we move a little bit later on the Sunday to a search for Patagonia, correct?
Correct.
Now, what is this search engine? What is this?
It's the Yahoo search engine.
Okay. Did you see any Google on this computer?
I did not see Google on this computer.
Pre-Google?
Yes. I believe
Okay.
Google came around in 2004.
So Yahoo searches.
Yahoo searches.
All right. So the first search we see on this computer that you're seeing on this slideshow is for this Patagonia.
Correct.
Okay. And then did you see that the Patagonia website is accessed?
Yes.
Okay. And again, we can see the words by these red X's, but there's some kind of image or something that's missing.
Yes.
Okay. And so there appears to be some online shopping here, right?
That is correct.
A fleece furnace.
Yes.
For your torso. Well, that sounds delightful. Wouldn't mind a fleece furnace for my torso. Warm me right up. Got cold out here last night.
Okay, so now moving on to later in the day on Sunday, October 11th, 10:36 p.m. Once again, we're seeing the emails between Mark Jensen and Kelly Labonte, right?
That is correct.
Does this look like an email that's in the middle of being drafted? Like a
Yes.
reply?
Yes, or it was sitting on the page. Yeah.
Okay, so now moving on to Monday, October 12th, 1998. Now we see on this date that Mark Jensen under mjensen@execpc.com appears to be sending an email to various people with Stiefel addresses, correct?
That is correct.
Including a Jensen M@stiefel.com.
Correct.
And this email, it appears to reference an online article. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And then on the computer, you can actually see this online article that was emailed, right?
Correct.
So the article that's referenced in the email is recovered in the HTML.
That is correct.
And this is the Wall Street article.
Yes. Yes.
So if we page through it and get to the bottom,
The-
thestreet.com.
Yes.
Okay. And this, once again, was from the early morning hours.
Yes.
Yeah, Patagonia is getting that free advertising dollar right now. You're right.
Okay. Then we return in the same early morning hours to the emails between Mark Jensen and Kelly Labonte, correct?
That is correct.
And on this page, then we can see a list of emails from Kelly Labonte.
That is correct.
And again, this is all recovered from the Jensen home computer.
Yes.
Okay. Just more emails between these two individuals. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So now moving to Tuesday, October 13th, 1:14 a.m. We see another search being conducted.
Correct. Yes. That's
Correct.
a
And
search.
this one is for O'Hare Marriott.
Yes.
Okay. And around the same time period, early morning hours, October 13th,
Yes.
we see the O'Hare Marriott website accessed.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Then, same time period, we see a search for Morton's of Chicago. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that's right after the Marriott's being searched for, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so 2:43 a.m. And then Morton's website.
Yep, that is correct.
You can't see much because we don't have the images, but
No,
you can
we
see
don't
the
have
words, correct?
Yes.
Now go into the menu,
Yes.
the directory of locations for Morton's.
Further information on Morton's.
And then directions for Morton's.
That is correct.
Okay, here's the menu. No prices on this menu.
Correct.
Okay, so right after that, right after those websites are accessed, we see emails again.
Yes.
Kelly Labonte, Mark Jensen, subject, Chicago.
Correct.
All right, so now moving to Wednesday, October 14th, 11:36 p.m. Did you see this website being accessed for Sprint?
I did.
So that's phone service.
Yes. It's the homepage for Sprint phone service at that time.
Okay. And then immediately after that is the website accessed for Sprint St. Louis coverage.
That is correct. Yes.
And then Sprint Milwaukee coverage.
That is correct.
Okay, so now we see another Yahoo search. Bass Pro.
Yes, this would be a search for Bass Pro fishing shop.
Then the fishing website being accessed.
That is correct.
Thursday, October 15th, 12:52 a.m. Big Cedar.
Correct.
This is a website for the Big Cedar Lodge.
Yes.
One hour south of Bass Pro Shops. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So we can see the Big Cedar related websites that are accessed.
Yeah, that would. Yes. This would be the price site for it.
So we can see the Big Cedar related websites that are accessed.
Yeah, that would. Yes. This would be the price site for it.
For instance, the honeymoon cabin in the middle here
Correct.
with prices.
That is correct. Yes. That's the honeymoon cabin. HTML.
All right. So, did you ever see when you were examining this Jensen home computer? Did you ever see an email sent by Julie Jensen?
Yes, I've saw quite a few emails.
No, sent by Julie Jensen.
Oh, sent by Julie Jensen? No, I did not.
So the emails you saw are the ones that we saw on the screen. Mark Jensen, Kelly Labonte.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have another Yahoo search here on the bottom. And that one's a little hard to read, but does that say WinStar?
Yes, it says WinStar.
Okay. So this, the WinStar related searches, October 15th, early morning hours. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay, and was the WinStar website accessed?
Yes, it was accessed.
Okay, so for instance, on the WinStar website, then we see a variety of cruises being offered.
Yes.
And so just multiple pages of the cruise packages that you were able to recover?
That is correct, yes.
And And then finally, there's this page where someone could request a CD-ROM.
Yes. So back in 1998, it was fairly common, since web servers were a lot smaller and more robust than they are nowadays. To if you needed more information, they'd just mail you a CD-ROM or a CD.
So you essentially request their advertisement.
Yes, you're essentially requesting advertisements.
And so that particular aspect of WinStar was accessed, correct?
Correct.
All right, so now there's quite a few searches that were occurring the early morning hours of Friday, October 16th, 1998. So I want to examine the searches that were being conducted at that time.
Okay.
Your Honor, this may be a longer chapter, so I don't know if the jury wants a break now or if we want to.
Well, I think it's up to Ms. McNeil. It's her direct examination here.
So, I mean, this is I would say, a significant chapter, so it is a okay time for a break.
You want a break now or you want to wait? Break? All right, take a break, folks.
Sorry, guys. I had an important phone call that came through right there. But as we're listening, yeah, I love this judge, honestly. Like, I love the fact that he is so, just willing to just be like, hey, man, break time? Definitely a break time. We're definitely taking a break. So keep in mind, Rip would say, share the stream, or y'all can head to the train station. That's your choice. So share the stream, people. Don't go to the train station. We know how that one ends. Just saying, be careful. It's no joke. I gotta tell you guys, the world we live in, it is wild, man. I've been getting these news updates people have been sending me left and right, and it blows my mind what kind of crazy stuff we get. I mean, as if it's not bad enough that we got to deal with, crazies. We got all this other stuff going on. I'm wearing it on my face. Like, I don't sleep at night. I got bags under my eyes. It's rough. Plus, studio lighting is a real pain in the ass trying to get that figured out. Anyway, I don't know if you saw, but I put together that breakdown for you guys yesterday, and I posted it on the page, which has a full comprehensive breakdown of everything from, I'll just pull it up for you. I feel like in the comments, if you did go look at it, give me a thumbs up or something. If you didn't, thumbs down, whatever. And then I won't feel so out of whack jumping into this right now. But it's a, all right, here we go. So it's a, no, that's not the one. We're getting there. What it is. Or whatever it is. It's a Google Collections folder that I put together, and it's got some videos, some walkthroughs of the house, some evidence, the letter that Julie wrote, and also the. Let me just pull this up. I have it in PDF here. Computers, man, I need this guy to come help me out with mine because it's just a real pain in my ass. So let me share the screen for you here. Boom. All right. So this is the it's a PDF that I put together for you, and it is it's a full breakdown. Like I said, a comprehensive breakdown of the. That's too small. We'll keep it over here or over here. How about that? we'll do this one. Of the trial, everything that led up to the 2010 trial. Okay, so as it says over here, it's a comprehensive breakdown of the trial, and it's all put together in chronological order. So it starts off with the Wisconsin State Supreme Court ruling, saying that the letter can be used in the trial, but only the state can show that the preliminary hearing that there was enough other incriminating evidence at the point at Mark as the killer. Now they had all the other evidence, was witness testimonies and things that came in, so that was all very pertinent to this happening. The court created a hearsay exception that permitted the use of Julie Jensen's letter and statements as a dying declaration, evidence of her state of mind at the time of her death. And what they said was it should be admitted because the person that's being accused of her murder took her out of the situation where she would be able to actually be there to back up the letter she wrote, i.e. A killer, murderer, someone like Mark Jensen who has killed somebody. So he's remanded to jail. Okay, now Judge Schroeder puts him in, as he says here. This is because Ed Klug, guys. So Ed Klug's testimony wasn't part of the trial. His testimony didn't come out until 10 years after her death, until 2007, 2008. So late 2007, early 2008, when he finally opened up and shared, like, yeah, Mark talked about killing his wife, Mark this, Mark that, like looked up sites, yada, yada, yada. And that's why they're going through all this data forensic background where they're trying to figure out exactly what he looked at, how long, that's when they're going for the overriding, like how long can your information stay on the internet? How long can it, yada, yada. Anyway, so it's my responsibility to modify the bond from 500 to 1.2 million. Flight risk has changed. Obviously now he's being charged with a murder. So yeah, 1.2 million. He bonded out though, in 2002. Okay. While free on bail, Mark Jensen and Kelly Labonte, or Kelly Jensen, or Kelly, whatever you want to call her, who had basically, they started shacking up like within a month of Julie's death, mind you. So, and they went through explicit detail about all of the things that were going on with Mark there, to the point that we had a chance to appreciate that there was a lot of dick talk, a whole lot of dick talk. Like
For some reason, I don't know why. Just kind of sit around all day, and draw pictures of dicks.
What?
Draw pictures of dicks.
Dicks? Like a man dick? Like a man dick?
Yeah, like a man dick.
And he was apparently really fascinated with man dick. So, but what happened is 9 years after Julie's death, the prosecutors were tipped off Ed Klug, who had all this information. Finally, he had information pertinent to the case, and he's ordered to testify. Okay, so thank you, Mary, for that. Now, we can also let you guys read through this on your own, but Ted and Margaret Voigt testified before the forfeiture hearing, but they ended up becoming part of that original trial. And they had to testify twice, the forfeiture hearing and the actual hearing itself. What's wild is this guy, Ed Klug, had all this information, right? And what's crazy is once he became a player in the case, that's when, it'll go through here, I'll show you down the line here, where Mark Jensen was, and they validated it through other witness testimony. Granted, it was jailhouse snitches, but that Mark Jensen was hiring somebody to either kidnap or kill Ed Klug to avoid him testifying. And that was validated through like 3 different witnesses from jail that he was in with, where he said, man, I'm just nervous about it. And they had information, mind you. The only way they were able to show this or make that admissible was they testified in person, and they had information that was pertinent to the case that wasn't available in the public's knowledge of the case. So these are things, details, and facts that came out after everything happened. So, and the neighbors were saying, Julie was saying Mark was constantly offering the drink. She was suspicious and then terrified of Mark. Julie spoke of her marriage problems. She called the day before she died sounding drunk. This is while she was being poisoned with antifreeze. I saw Mark and his dad doing a high five in the driveway the day after Julie's death, and Mark throwing out all of Julie's belongings. And again, it goes through this 2007 and July 8th. Mark Jensen appears in court with his wife, his new wife, Kelly. He looks confident until he sees his former coworker, Ed Klug, on the stand, right? And then he's like, oh, shit, I thought this guy was supposed to be not available, right? Not at this point, right? So then he gets, it's just, so Ed Klug, of course, he was nervous because he said, if Mark was willing to kill his wife, what would he do to me, right? So then I broke down kind of some of his testimony here. The 3 weeks before Julie died, Mark and I were in St. Louis at a company convention. We'd been drinking and griping about our wives. Mark told me he was looking up ways to poison his wife, and the fact that he wanted to kill his wife, it was interesting. I mean, it was kind of shocking. He started talking about websites that you can go to, different poisons that would be non-detectable in a normal autopsy. He put a lot of thought into how he was going to get rid of her, cover it up, and make it look like it was a suicide, or that, she was a sickly, unstable woman, which is the defense's whole case. They really want to push this idea that Julie is, having these issues. Sorry, I just want to make sure we're not back at trial yet. These emotional issues and, psychological issues that would lead her to kill herself and frame Mark Jensen. It's crazy. Prosecutor said, did Mark seem serious? I've never really saw anything in Mark that he wasn't serious, so blah, blah, blah. So this goes through the back and forth. And in the cross-examination, they said, why did it wait for so long for you to come out, right? So Ed Klug says, there wasn't a day I wasn't thinking about it. It's a matter of when did I want to get involved? That's why I'm here. But he waited, it's a punk move, you know what I mean? He waited 9 years to get out here and say, hey, man, your mother might have been murdered, your daughter might have been murdered, your sister might have been murdered, your aunt may have been murdered, your grandchild may have been murdered, your friend may have been murdered, coworker. All these people who are affected come to find out that, like, she was murdered, that she didn't just die suffocating in her sleep. And then there's other, like Laura Coster is Mark Jensen's sister. This is Mark Jensen's sister. The day after Julie's death, the woman tells the police, I think Mark had something to do with Julie's death. And then she denies phoning. She also denies telling Julie, you don't know what Mark's capable of, right? These are all things that came out in her in things that Julie had said. Mark's answer about Julie's death seemed emotionless and rehearsed. So anyway, the Mark Jensen forfeiture hearing, this is the Coster testimony. It's 1 minute and 35. There's a hyperlink here. You can click on that. It'll take you to that. The immunity from prosecution, and this is Kelly LaBonte Jensen, right? She's married to Mark at this point. So then they talk about her when she first met Mark, when they became sexual, so they give Kelly Jensen immunity. We have seen no evidence to suggest that Kelly Jensen was on the plot to kill Julie Jensen. Now it's crazy because she was cheating on her fiance and then married her fiance husband while Mark and her were fooling around. Mark's cheating on his wife. Julie had cheated on Mark. Ed Klug had cheated on his wife. All these people were cheating and fooling around, right? So all these things came into play, right? These paramours, past lovers, these people. So, but Kelly was right in. She slid in the pocket. She came right in there, like no time wasted. So she was at the house for the kid's birthday the next month. Within a couple of weeks of within a month of her dying, she was at the house celebrating one of the kids' birthdays, sleeping in the bed, having sex with Mark, like in their marital bed, the same bed that he murdered her in, the same bed that that Julie had an affair 7 years before on Mark in. Like, it's just like I said before, be careful about the mattresses you buy, people, because you never know what you're going to get. You know what I mean? It could be like, the boom boom room mattress along with like a murder mat. You know what I mean? You don't know. Anyway, I do want to see if they are back in sesh yet. So give me 1 second here. They are not. Okay, so let me pull this back up over here. We're gonna put this right here. Technology, guys, I tell you, this guy wasn't wrong. this witness right now, this dude who knows everything about AIM. So anyway, in the comments, feel free to let me know if they're back in session. I'm keeping a tab on it, but yeah. So they were both saying that they were stuck with their spouses, and so there was enough evidence to say, Julie testified, or I mean, Kelly testified that she had nothing to do with and had no knowledge of Mark planning on killing, Julie. But now in August 1st, 2007, Kenosha medical examiner Mary Mainland, testifies Julie Jensen was murdered by ethylene glycol poisoning. So now in 2007, she's saying she's testifying under oath that, this is what it is, that Julie was actually killed by antifreeze. And then you have friends that came in. Now the toxicologist here, now on August 2nd, this is all part of the 2007 trial. St. Louis toxicologist Chris Long testified Julie Jensen was murdered by poisoning. He described her suffering as Julie being in jail. Her mind was aware, but her poisoned body stopped responding and functioning. That sounds terrible, like terrible. And then they had a computer. It's wild, this computer analyst they had back then, this Rhonda Mitchell testifies the internet history files were erased almost after every use, but were recovered by the crime lab. All the computers used in poison websites were accessed when Markjensen was at home and never when he was gone on business trips or at work in the daytime. Mitchell also testified to the emails between Markjensen and Kelly LaBonte, his then wife. Now, what's crazy is they were looking at photos that Julie had taken of Mark's day planner, right? And they were using this like overhead projector thing, and they were using the exact same one in the case just the other day, and they were like scrolling underneath it, trying to show the pictures, these printouts, these high gloss white bordered pictures, and it was just funny. And even the judge was like, "We can't do that anymore, man. Come on, this is impossible to see. I can't tell what's going on here." So where are we at over here? All right. There we go. We got it. Let me see. I suspected Mark Jensen of the 6 years of harassment calls and letters and pictures left at Julie's home and Mark's office. So he thinks Mark Jensen was leaving all the dick pics and all of the letters, but they were keeping track of all of these hang-up calls and all these crazy things that were happening. And again, if you guys would let me know in the comments here if they're back in from break yet. They're just taking a break right now, just so you guys know what's going on. Well, that's why we're all talking here. And just to be certain that we're not missing anything, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this up here. All right. There we go. Okay. And moving forward, family reaction. Okay, so we're going to move past some of this. You guys can look at this. So the forfeiture hearing recap. This is like the Julie's brothers. Julie's four brothers speak. Again, there's a clip for that here. You can click on the hyperlink there. That'll take you to that. Patrick Griffin is her brother. Court ruling. So Judge Schroeder, who was our guy Judge Schroeder, and we all remember him from the original trial, from the trial with Kyle Rittenhouse.
That was before the gun says for the get brazen with me.
He delayed the trial in a motion hearing in which the defense requests more time to investigate new allegations and new witnesses. Now, in November of 2007, Judge Schroeder rules it is completely relevant to the trial that Mark harassed Julie by planning pornography at their home and his car, as well as making prank calls for 6 years, while boldly involving and lying to authorities the whole time. Come on, man. You can't just be scratching. Okay, stop. Cats be scratching. After being charged with the murder of Julie Jensen, Mark Jensen and Kelly LaBonte married. Their son is 3 years old. So it was crazy. So they got married and had a kid. right? So then now January 7th, the murder trial. Okay. This is when they start the trial. They moved it because of the pretrial publicity in Kenosha County. So they had it in Elkhorn. Okay. So opening statements. So then we go into opening statements for both, and then we jump right into witness testimony. This is the Dr. Chambly, the initial cause of death and the autopsy, the evidence video, and I've got some information about that. But then we move down here to Ted Voigt, Ted Voigt, who is the neighbor, next door neighbor, and had a lot of incredible information that kind of was as incriminating as anything could possibly be. His testimony that he gave. I have his wife, who also spoke and was good friends with Julie, the one who received a letter from Julie, I believe. And two parts to her testimony. Now, these are short video clips, guys. They're not like, 30, 40-minute long. It's just kind of news recaps or like quick recaps in trial of their testimony that they gave. Just kind of pertinent information I feel like you needed to have. And see, everyone gives the exact same testimony they did in the original forfeiture trial basically to say, hey, this is why they had a trial that they had to go through a trial to convince the judges, the courts, that it was worth being retried, right? And so then Julie Jensen's letter, all through right here, I have that in here for you guys as well. You can read through that. After seeing the photographs, the cause of Julie Jensen's death was asphyxiation by smothering, and that the ethylene glycol may have had a bearing on the death. Suffocation started to make sense to me after I examined photos of Julie Jensen dead in her bed. Signs of smothering, including some hemorrhaging, were consistent with injuries from resuscitation. If suffocation had not occurred, she may not have died. But they're saying that she wasn't resuscitated. He didn't try resuscitating her. So I don't have enough. So you have no opinion about the cause of death, you said? I don't have enough information. That was a preliminary view, and we'll let the jury decide, is what the defense attorney says. Anyway, so Julie Jensen had no pulse when she was found and appeared to have been dead sometime. So no efforts were made to revive her. And that's important because they said that resuscitation would cause hemorrhaging, but they didn't.
We're back on a record on Mark Jensen, 2002
said in a
CF
police interrogation.
314. The appearances are the same.
Again, you guys
The
roll
witness
through
is
it.
still under oath.
The links
and
are
you
in
can
here.
Continue
It's
your direct
incredibly
testimony.
informative,
Ms.
and
McNeil.
took forever to put together.
So you've been asked a lot of
including,
questions about
inmate
this internet
testimony.
history
Let's go
and
back to the trial. This is back in.
initially.
Initially, it was in Pacific time.
And why was it in Pacific time?
So older computers, generally, when they were built out west. So the computer time zones were kind of set at that time. Contrary to newer computers, a lot of the protocols and things that are created to automatically update your computers and phones and things didn't exist at that time. So the computer itself just stayed in that time zone unless somebody manually changed it.
Okay, and so when you examined this computer, it was still set in Pacific time.
That is correct.
Now, in terms of the system date and time, so like if the user is looking at the corner of the screen to see the system date and time, what was that set for?
Are you talking about the computer itself? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so apart from what the internet history is reading, the system date and time.
So the system date and time I believe was also in Pacific time.
Okay, so in terms of this internet history, having drawn from it and seeing that it was in Pacific time, these times that we're seeing on the screen, is this in Central time?
Yes, I modified them with my forensic tools so that they match up with the current times.
Okay, so all these dates and times we're seeing are in Central time where this computer was located.
Correct.
And then one more thing about the dates and times. We've heard about this computer being booted up on December 17th of 1998. Does that cause you to question the accuracy of any of this internet history, date and times that you're seeing in this presentation?
It does not.
Okay, so that particular issue with the computer being booted does not affect these dates and times.
No.
And so then just to be very clear, the date and time we are seeing, you are confident that that is the correct Central Standard date and time that this was occurring.
I'm confident of that, yes.
Okay, so now looking at what was occurring on Friday, October 16th, 1998 at 1:54 a.m., we start to see a series of searches, correct?
That is correct.
And so for these Yahoo searches, we actually see the search term at the bottom here,
That is correct.
correct? So this first of the series of searches is for the word underground.
That is correct.
Now, if we go back to the top here, are we just seeing continuing results for that same search?
Yeah, so this would be like if you go to the second page of the Yahoo search, it renders a new HTML because it's got new search results on that site.
So like in modern times, it's like reaching the next screen of your search results?
Yeah, it's like going to the second page of Google, but on Yahoo.
The term is still the same though.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, then it appears the user accessed this website.
That is correct.
And then this website.
That is correct.
Okay, and then do we see a return to the search results?
Yes, this is the next page of the search results, a return to it.
Okay, then the next page of the search results?
That is correct.
The next page of the search results?
That is correct.
More search results?
More search results.
All right, so now we're seeing a different category match.
Yes, this would be a new search.
And this is a search for drugs.
Drugs, that is correct.
So someone searched for drugs on the internet?
That is correct.
And again, if we're paying attention to the times, this is all basically happening consecutively.
Consecutively, yes.
Okay, then we have a search for the term botulism. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so then we see our search results for botulism.
That is correct.
And then can we see the sites that the user accessed
Yes,
related to botulism?
my apologies. Yes, you can see some of the sites that were accessed.
Your Honor, at this point with these slides on, I'm going to ask for an instruction for the jury that these are what was displayed on the screen, but that we cannot verify the accuracy of the websites themselves.
Well, this
And
is
the
what
text.
is on the screen. He has been qualified as an expert. He can base an opinion what's on the screen. go
So
ahead.
Judge, I basically agree with the defense just in terms of, I think they're saying that just because a website gives certain information, it doesn't mean it's true, just like today on the internet.
I think it was true in 1998 and it's true in 2023. So
Well,
that
it
will,
depends on the website.
that'll be for the record.
Thank you.
All right, so that's the first of the botulism websites, and then we move on to more search results, correct?
More search results.
Still for botulism, correct?
Correct.
And then here we have another website that is accessed for the botulism site, correct?
Correct. It's another website for botulism.
Okay, more search results.
Correct.
And then another botulism website, is that correct?
That is correct.
And then this website here, if you look at the words, they don't even really make sense, right?
No, they do not. When I,
You saw that?
yeah, I'm not really
So
sure.
they are disconnected words just stringing together,
That is correct.
but the user accessed that site.
User accessed, yes.
Okay, so we have more search results, correct, still for botulism?
That is correct.
Okay, so then we have some kind of recipe web page.
That is correct.
Okay. Apparently there was Netflix.
Yep.
Okay.
Got DVDs at the time.
Isn't that when Netflix only gave you the discs though in the mail?
Yep. You'd have
That's
to.
when for the record, that's when Netflix only had discs.
For the record, that's when Netflix only had the discs, and you had to set your subscription to either monthly. I don't remember exactly, something like that. Yeah.
All right. So then just if we look at the timing here, this is 2:13 a.m. for this website.
Correct.
And then shortly thereafter, it moves to another website. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And again, we're still on the topic of this botulism search.
Yes, that is correct.
And again, you're just showing us here
Cooking.
the websites that were accessed as a result of that search.
Yes, yeah. It's another website related to botulism or cooking.
Okay. More search results, correct?
More search results further down. Another
then
site for botulism.
Another botulism website. All right, so now going to this particular search that's happening. Is that for poisoning?
That is for poisoning.
And so we're clear on the time frame. This is at the end of the botulism searches, correct?
Correct.
October 16th, 1998,
That is correct.
2:21 a.m.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, I have asked you a variety of questions about the searches that were done on this computer. Are there some items that were not searched for?
I mean, lots
So-
of things weren't searched for.
Right.
Yeah.
Drugs were searched for, right?
Yes.
But to give you an example, was the word divorce searched for?
No, it was not.
In all of the internet history that you looked at for this computer, you never saw a search for divorce.
When I was able to recover, no, absolutely no search for divorce.
Okay. How about a search for something like child custody?
No,
How about a search for child support?
no,
Any searches for attorneys,
not that I recall. No,
like divorce attorney?
no.
Any court-related searches for divorce?
Nope. No searches for divorce.
All right, so moving to Friday, October 16th, 1998, 11:57 p.m. So now we are later in the evening of that Friday. Actually, almost to midnight of that Friday.
Correct.
What is this article here that was accessed by the user?
So that is an article about a man who was accused of blowing up his ex-wife with a pipe bomb, and it's his sentencing article.
Okay. So again, regardless of whether anything is true or not, that is what this article is about.
That is correct. That's what the article is about.
Man who attempted to blow up his estranged ex-wife with a pipe bomb.
Correct.
All right. And so now we have moved, that other search was close to midnight. And now in the timing, we've moved to just after midnight so now we're on Saturday, October 17th, 1998. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then we see a search, some kind of chemical, mercury fulminate.
Yes.
Okay. And this website, you see it accesses Jolly Roger.
Yes.
And what the user would have seen is about mercury fulminate is used as a primary explosive in the fabrication of detonators.
That is, yes, that's what's on the website.
So again, whether it's true or not, that's what the user would see.
Correct.
Okay, and then there's a list of items here. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Includes syringe.
Correct.
Then there appears to be a helpful caution on the bottom here. Acid will burn skin and destroy clothing.
That is correct. There's
again,
a caution.
The user who saw this website would see these things.
Would see that.
Okay. Shortly thereafter, the HTML here is poolfund.html. You see that?
Yep, that is correct. And it appears to be a website, or website by Jolly Rogers again, specifically related to pools and things you can do with them.
Okay. And so does this actually involve the sabotage of a pool?
Yes, using chemicals.
And so some kind of directions about that.
Yes.
Okay. Then shortly thereafter, we have another search, correct?
That is correct for nicotine.
And this search, if we actually get to the search word at the bottom here.
It is for nicotine.
Okay. Okay, and once again, we're continuing basically along the same browsing session, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so continuing with the nicotine search, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so now, just shortly thereafter that, 12:46 a.m., what do we see on this webpage?
So this is it says stifle branch listings. It appears to be the branch listings for the business Stifle
Okay.
on that website.
And we see this individual was looked up on the branch listings
Correct.
from Appleton, a Ron Ruck.
Ruck, yeah.
Internet Explorer cannot explain this webpage. Okay, then do we see another person is looked up in these branch listings?
Yes, John Joseph.
So John Joseph, branch manager, Colorado Springs, that's what the page displays?
That is what it is, yes.
Okay, and then shortly thereafter that,
It's a branch listing for John T. Joseph, aka Jock.
So
in
John-
quotes.
so is it John T. quote Jock unquote Joseph?
Correct, yes.
So that's what the screen displays.
Again, for Colorado Springs.
So that's what the user was accessing at this point.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Then shortly thereafter, something called inbox. So does this appear to be an email inbox?
Yes, partial recovery of an email inbox.
Okay. And then once again, do we see emails being accessed between the defendant and Kelly Labonte?
That is correct.
And once again, that name appears, the Jock Joseph, Colorado Springs.
Correct.
There appears to be some search screen that's accessed. correct?
That is correct.
And on the next screen after the search screen, a variety of Kellys, including Kelly Labonte.
That is correct.
Okay, so before we lose the date and time. So now we have moved to Monday, October 19th, 1998 at 2:24 a.m. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, and we're seeing more searches now.
Correct.
This one for pipe bomb.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. More results then for pipe bomb.
That is correct. It's the next page.
Then more results.
That is correct.
Following that, do we see a new search for the term anarchist?
Anarchist, that is correct.
And as a result of that search, did you see websites accessed for the anarchist cookbook?
I did.
And so this would be what the user accessed at this time?
Yes, yes.
Some website, Spunk Press Directory Catalog?
That is correct.
Apparently they're collecting food and drink recipes.
Yeah, this appears to be a different anarchist cookbook about literal food recipes for anarchists.
Okay, and just so we don't miss the date and time, we're now at 3:14 a.m. on the same day, the 19th, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So continuing with the anarchist search at that time as well.
That is correct.
Okay, so now we get to November of 1998, and I'm going to ask you the same questions about the dates and times that the internet is being accessed in November.
Okay.
Okay, so on the 2nd, we see internet activity in the late evening hours, that Monday.
That is correct.
Then on the Tuesday, once again, the late evening hours, the 3rd.
That is correct.
Then on the 4th, we have the very early morning hours,
That is correct.
and then late evening hours starting at 11:01.
Yes.
Now, we see another gap in terms of internet activity, internet history. So November 5th, 6th, and 7th, you did not find any internet history on those days?
Correct.
Okay, so back to, gotta go to the beginning. Also the 8th is missing.
Yep.
Then the 9th, do you see internet activity in the early morning?
I do. Yes.
Then Tuesday the 10th, once again the early morning hours.
Yes.
Wednesday the 11th, early morning hours.
Correct.
And then another gap of days, 12th, 13th, 14th,
That is correct.
and then 15th without internet activity.
That is correct.
Okay, 16th, early morning hours.
Correct.
17th, evening, 9:47 p.m.
That is correct.
Okay, followed by a series of days, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, where you did not see internet activity.
That is correct.
Then going to Sunday, the 22nd, looks
Correct.
like there's early morning internet activity. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then afternoon internet activity, 4:43 to 5:09 p.m.
That is correct.
And then the nighttime, 10:57 p.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Then on the 23rd, the Monday, 11:50 p.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then we see a series of days, 24th and 25th, without activity, correct?
Correct.
All right. Then the 26th, so that would be the Thursday, early morning hours, correct?
That is correct.
And then late evening hours, correct?
Correct.
Moving to the 28th, early morning hours, correct?
Correct.
Then end of November, on Sunday, we have very early morning, 4:21 a.m., correct?
That is correct.
And then Sunday, 5:13 to 5:14 p.m. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, so during these times that I've showed you during the month of November of 1998, Monday to Friday, regular business hours, 8 to 5, no internet activity, correct?
Correct.
All right, so now we're going to look at some searches occurring on Tuesday, November 10th. Again, we have early morning hours, 2:35 a.m. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. At this time, the search term is suicide.
Yep. Suicide.
Okay. And then do we see following that something related to physician-assisted suicide,
Yes, we do.
euthanasia? Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And apparently this website on this topic references some website called Noel Early.
That is correct.
And did it appear that the user accessed that website?
Yes.
Okay, so this is apparently some individual.
Yes.
Okay, so then once again, in these early morning hours of November 10th, 1998, 2:55 a.m. Do you see this website that the user would have accessed?
I do.
Okay, and appears to have a very long listing of a variety of medical things.
Medical.
Correct?
Yeah.
Following that, some kind of toxicology search.
Correct.
All right, so here we have references to various poison things. So like Florida Poison Information Center,
Yes.
some kind of toxicology resource, internet resources for practitioners, educators, and researchers in medical, clinical, and occupational
Correct.
toxicology, and providers of poison information. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And then on the bottom here, toxic alcohols, effects of ethanol, isopropyl alcohol, methanol, and ethylene glycol.
That is correct. Yep, that is correct.
Okay. And then immediately following that, do we have another query for nicotine?
Yes.
Now, during this time, again, this is the same browsing session, as far as you can tell, correct?
As far as I can tell, yes.
So we see a variety of toxicology type websites accessed. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I'll be showing you those. All right, then following those toxicology websites, do you see this website here for the National Toxicology Program?
I did.
Okay, then following that, it appears some searches conducted, chemistry, health, and safety search.
Yes, it's looks like a website you can search in. Yes, for that.
And once again, it appears that nicotine is being searched.
That is correct.
You can see the quotation there for nicotine.
Correct.
And then following that, some kind of website
Yeah, it appears to be either some lab or scientific website related to the Rating Corporation, and I'm not gonna nitro, so I'm not gonna try
Yeah, that's
to
a
pronounce
pretty
that. So
pretty long word starting with an M. I know it ends in nicotine.
yes,
Nitrous or nicotine.
Okay. So just scrolling through, this is the website that the user would have accessed.
that is true. Yes.
Okay. Now, going to December of 1998, once again with the internet activity. Now we see on Tuesday, December 1st, internet activity occurring at 1:18 a.m. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then on the 2nd, we see the morning internet activity 4:31 a.m. to 4:35 a.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then later in the morning, 8:14 a.m. to 8:49 a.m. Correct?
That is correct.
Then near lunchtime, 11:45 a.m. to 11:47 a.m.
Correct.
And then there's this gap until the PM search or internet activity, 9:31 p.m. to 9:43 p.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So can't really fit it in one square, but this is not actually on the 9th, correct?
Yes, that's on the second.
It's a continuation of the 2nd, correct?
Correct.
And then internet activity on the 3rd of December, early morning hours, 12:44 a.m. to 1:23 a.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then the morning, 9:40 a.m. to 9:42 a.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, for this particular internet activity in these 3 days in December of 1998, you were able to recover quite a few of these 1998 web pages, right?
Yes, and part of the reason behind that is because it was all of it was still in the temporary internet history, which is a folder, another area that saves all of those HTMLs and other file paths.
Now, to be clear, you had detected evidence of the user deleting history November 29th, December 2nd, and December 3rd, correct?
Correct. And the reason behind that is because the actual internet history as we know it, internet history wasn't there, but there was a large amount of files in this temporary internet history page which tied to these dates.
So you found this internet history in the temporary files in spite of what appeared to be the effort to delete it.
Correct.
And then to be clear, when you examine this computer, the internet activity stopped after the 3rd, correct?
Yes.
Except for when the computer was booted on the 17th.
Correct.
Okay. And so you saw that activity that I showed on the Excel spreadsheet, correct, on the 17th?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so now going to Wednesday, December 2nd, 1998, 4:34 a.m. We see on this page what appears to be a search for Paxil or paroxetine, correct?
That is correct.
And then following immediately thereafter, so we get the date and time, December 2nd, 4:35 a.m.
Correct.
what appears to be the web page that is accessed for paroxetine, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and I'm just going to click through this web page. So quite a long web page there addressing, or seems to be about paroxetine or Paxil, correct?
That is correct.
All right, so now moving to the morning of the 2nd at 8:16 a.m. There's a website accessed about ethylene glycol poisoning. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so immediately following that, there appears to be a website accessed regarding oxalic acid.
That is correct.
And again, regardless of whether it's true or not, this website says it is a metabolite of ethylene glycol.
Correct. That's what it says.
So that's what the user would have seen.
Yes.
Okay, then immediately after that, we see a website accessed, and not sure how to pronounce that, but fomezpizoli.
Yeah, some.
Okay, a chemical.
Yeah, the chemical of some sort. I'm also not going to try to pronounce it.
Okay, so we can see how it's spelled, though, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, and so again, regardless of whether this is true or not, what this website says is that chemical was approved for use after ethylene glycol poisoning.
Correct.
And then it provides a variety of other information.
That is correct.
So whatever this chemical is, it appears to be related to treating ethylene glycol poisoning, correct?
That is correct.
And that's just the bottom of that website, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, immediately after that, there's a website accessed about toxic alcohols. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And it appears to present some kind of account or hypothetical of some individual ingesting a gulp of green liquid
Yes.
located in a Gatorade bottle, correct?
That is correct.
A coworker stated that the engine antifreeze was transferred. So it appears to be some account of an individual ingesting ethylene glycol.
That is correct.
All right. And then below that, the same thing.
Correct.
Okay, immediately after that, a website that appears to address how to patients with toxic alcohol ingestion typically present.
That is correct. Yes.
So again, we can see on the bottom here, regardless of whether this is true or not, it appears to be talking about manifestations of methanol and ethylene glycol.
That is correct.
And basically symptoms.
Yes, symptoms.
Okay, same bottom page, correct?
That is correct.
All right, and then immediately after that, see another website referencing ethylene glycol, correct?
Yes.
And then after that, some kind of article about dangers associated with ethanol substitutes.
That is correct.
All right, and that page just continues. Okay, then immediately after that, another website on ethylene glycol.
That is correct.
And again, regardless of whether this is true or not, it appears to describe some symptoms.
That is correct.
Okay, and then that website appears to continue.
Yes.
Okay, and then shortly after that website is accessed, we have another website, correct?
That is correct.
Also about poisoning.
That is correct.
And in this list we're seeing in this website, one of the items is ethylene glycol, correct?
That is true.
Okay, and then immediately after that appears to be the same website, just a different page, correct?
Correct.
And then immediately after that, by the look of it, same website, but specifically referring to the ethylene glycol.
That is correct.
And again, regardless of whether this is true or not, this is what the user would have seen.
That is correct.
Okay, and then that appears to be a continuation of this website.
That does, yes.
And again, regardless of whether it's true, a listing of symptoms.
Yes.
Then a listing of treatment,
Correct.
antidotes,
Correct.
Okay, so now we're in a different time frame. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, so we're just later, 11:45 a.m. on December 2nd, 1998, correct?
That is correct.
And this website that we're going to see, it appears to be Anatomy Atom.
That is correct. Yeah, that's what it.
Is that a website that you saw a lot?
Yeah, it's one of the more frequented websites.
Okay. And is this here a continuation of the Anatomy Atom website?
Correct.
All in the same time frame?
Yes.
Okay, so on this website, this Anatomy Atom related website,
This was like its main splash page, kind of.
what did you describe this page as?
So it's like its main page, like when you go to the website, pick all the options, kind of.
So these, what we're seeing here, the words in the middle, that would be something you could click on?
Correct.
Poisons?
Correct.
So based on your viewing of this Anatomy Atom website, it appears to be somehow medically related.
Yeah, medically related.
And it does have a poisons category, correct?
It does.
Okay. And then immediately follow that, we see a list of various apparently drugs, including overdose related.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. And it's alphabetical.
Yeah.
Okay, so just clicking through the list. Did it appear that the user accessed in this list the letter E?
Yes.
And under the letter E is one of the listed items ethylene glycol?
That is correct.
And then again, this page is very limited, but from the words we can see, it appears the user accessed the ethylene glycol poison page.
That is correct.
And what we're seeing here is that basically a continuation of that poison page for ethylene glycol.
That is correct.
And what we're seeing now, is that just a continuation of the prior page?
That is correct. Yes.
And again, regardless of whether it's true, this is what the user would have seen.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're moving to a different time frame. This would be Wednesday, December 2nd, 1998 at 9:34 p.m. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
And at that time, Again, we have a very limited website, but it appears to be referencing antifreeze poison.
Yes.
And does this appear to be similar in terms of the look of the website to the one that was accessed hours earlier?
Correct.
But this one is labeled antifreeze. The prior one was labeled ethylene glycol.
Yes.
Okay, then looking at the next web page, it appears to be describing some medical condition, fast breathing,
Yes.
respiratory rate rapid breathing.
Correct.
And so this is what the user was accessing after accessing the antifreeze website.
Correct.
Okay, and then immediately after that, it appears the user using the same web page or the same look to it access something about rapid breathing.
That is correct.
And then again, regardless of whether it's true, it describes things like skin discoloration, lips bluish
Correct.
discoloration of the skin.
Correct.
Okay. Then that page just continues.
Correct.
Immediately after that, the user appears to be looking for skin discoloration, bluish.
That is correct.
And then immediately after that, blood pressure low.
Correct.
And then this page that we're looking at now, does that appear to be the user accessing the low blood pressure page?
Yes.
All right, then immediately following that, there appears to be a page accessed about consumption of alcohol.
That is correct.
Okay, so now the time frame we're looking at is the very morning hours, just after December 2nd has turned to December 3rd, 1998, correct?
That is correct.
So we are at 12:46 a.m.
Correct.
At that time, is a site accessed about antifreeze poisoning?
Yes.
Then shortly thereafter, some website where you can only see the word toxicological emergencies.
That is correct.
Then shortly after that, are we once again seeing this series of websites that appears to be about symptoms of things?
Yes.
So this one is unconsciousness.
Correct.
Again, we are around 1 a.m. on December 3rd, 1998.
That is correct.
And so the page we're seeing now, does that appear to be the user accessing this unconsciousness page?
That is correct. Yes.
And then a continuation of that page?
Yes.
Okay, shortly after that, do we see the user accessing a page about consciousness decreased?
Yes.
And based on the following page, does it appear that the user actually clicked into that page?
Correct.
And then shortly after that, do we see more Yahoo searches?
Yes.
Looking at the search term, ethylene glycol poisoning.
That is correct.
Then shortly after that, another web page.
That is correct.
So we saw a listing of the H words in alphabetically on that prior page, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Then it appears that the user would have clicked on the hypertension.
Correct.
Is that correct? And then once again, we're seeing the similar pages that we just saw previously, where
Correct.
it's a description of the symptom or the search term.
That is correct.
And then shortly after that, do we see another list of, this time we're in the T section.
Yes.
And it appears the user accessed a site about bounding pulse.
That is correct.
And once again, a similar website is accessed.
Correct.
And one of the terms for that is tachycardia listed in this website.
Yes.
Okay, so once again, we see the list of the alphabetical terms, and this time the C section is accessed, correct?
That is correct.
And so immediately after that, we see shock-cardiogenic,
That is correct.
same type of web page we've been seeing.
Yes, same type.
And we can see there again, cardiogenic shock, correct?
That is correct.
Then immediately after that, a web page about weak or absent pulse is accessed.
That is correct.
And similar to the other pages in this section, just lists.
Yes, it's very similar.
Okay, so now we've moved to a different time frame.
Yes.
Thursday, December 3rd, 1998 at 9:40 a.m.
That is correct.
Okay. And so was there another Yahoo search that was conducted in this time frame?
There was.
Search term ethylene glycol poisoning.
That is correct.
Now, in 1998, is the website like today, where if you've clicked on it, it's purple?
Yes, it'll register as purple.
All right, so looking just immediately thereafter, the same website as before in terms of the look of it. Now the term is diabetic ketoacidosis. Is that
That is,
correct?
yes, that is correct.
And then the following page resembles the pages we had viewed before leading up to this, correct?
Yes, it does.
So this is making some reference to diabetic coma.
Correct.
And then immediately after that, we have the Yahoo page again,
That is correct.
continuing results for the ethylene glycol poisoning.
That is correct.
All right, is that the end of the internet history then from December 3rd of 1998?
That is, yes, that's what I believe.
And there was no recoverable internet history after what I've just shown you on December 3rd, 1998?
No, not on December 3rd. No.
So now we've talked about this Anatomy of Adam website.
Correct.
So did you do something to be able to show us what accessing this site would have looked like on the computer?
Correct. So in that virtual machine I spoke about earlier, I went into the temporary internet history just to show how it would have rendered on the actual computer itself. So very similar to the screenshots, just more dynamic. So what this video will show is just clicking through that website. It's only going to the places where a user would have actually clicked because it's not actually connected to the internet. It is simply relying on that temporary internet history.
All right, so this is going to play then like a video on the screen. Is that accurate?
Correct.
It's a video. Okay, and so we kind of saw with the slideshow previously this web page, and you can see again the things the user could click on, including the poisons aspect of that.
That is correct. And the reason why those images are in there and they weren't in the actual screenshots is because it's populating it as a full website in that temporary internet files section as opposed to a simple HTML document. It's compiling all of that together.
And you're able to show that by use of the virtual machine.
Yes.
Okay. And then this following page we have here, are you again on the virtual machine?
Correct.
And then showing us the access to the ethylene glycol related web pages?
Yes, it's the same thing.
So once again, a video.
Yes.
All right, so I have a few additional questions about this home computer that you looked at and you analyzed and that we've been going through.
Correct.
So again, on the virtual machine, are we actually able to see what this, I don't know what you would call it, a home screen look like on this computer?
Yes. Yes.
So on this 1998 computer from the Jensen home, the screen, if someone turned on the computer, looked like this, what we see on the screen right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, this would be a fair representation. Yes.
Okay, so that's an accurate
Yes.
representation?
Yeah.
Okay. So then I have a question about a couple of these icons. We can see the Internet Explorer, right?
Correct.
And then there's some kind of exec PC icon.
That is
So if we're looking at the screen, that would be on the left side, the fourth icon down.
That is correct. Yes.
And then the fifth icon down, is that the Quicken?
Yes.
Okay, and what is Quicken?
From my research, it's like a tax filing. You can do investments and banking, pretty much everything financial.
So some kind of financial computer program?
Correct.
And if we go to the middle column, the very bottom image that's kind of red and white, what is that program?
That is another tax website, or not website, application to work on.
Is
like
it
a
tax
trading
related?
trading, like a trader finance? I think it's the Trading Stock Pro or something.
Okay, so it's a trading stock web? Or
Yeah,
web
like
page?
stocks and finance stuff. Yeah,
Okay, so that's what that program is?
correct.
Okay. And so now on this computer, did you explore what was actually in the Quicken program?
I did.
All right. And you made a video of that?
Yeah, this is a visual representation. Yes,
Okay. So just like the other videos?
just
we've
like the
seen?
other videos. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so regarding this Quicken program, were you specifically looking for files or something in this program related to the Jensen home finances?
Yes, I was looking for any files related to that. Yes.
And did you find anything that appeared to be the Jensen home finances?
Outside of the one at the beginning where it shows that it says Jensen and then there's a file, and then within it is a different account, there was nothing that I could find.
So what we see you clicking through here, that appears to be, this financial information appears to be under the name Sorensen.
That is correct.
Okay, so we were seeing financial information, but that is labeled Sorensen.
That is correct.
And did you find anything that looked like the balancing of a checkbook?
No.
And as you actually clicked through Quicken, as the user would be able to see it, did you see anything besides what you've shown us on the screen?
I did not.
So whatever material was saved in this Quicken computer program was very limited.
Yes,
And all of the things that actually had money amounts or stock amounts were under the name Sorensen, correct?
that's correct.
All right, so now before we move off the Jensen home computer, I want to go back to the Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
Now, on the PowerPoint that we've just looked at, those were the internet websites where we could actually see something because there was the HTML file, correct?
Correct.
But in this Excel file, this is all the internet history you were able to recover, correct?
That is correct.
And so there's some internet history where we can't see anything more than basically what's in the Excel file in terms of a visual.
That is correct.
So it's still internet history. You still would have a date and time for when it's accessed on the computer. There's just no real visual to it.
Yes.
Now, when you looked at this computer, I believe you testified that you first saw activity that would indicate use on July 6th of 1998. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And did you examine the early internet activity that was occurring in July on this computer?
I did.
And based on your examination of this early internet activity, did you see access to pornographic sites?
I did.
All right, so I'm just going to direct your attention to specific pages in this internet history.
Your Honor, I have an objection. I think we should possibly take it outside the presence of the jury.
How much more direct do you have?
I don't have a ton more, but there's a few other devices that I have to ask questions about. So I think I would be done by 5 if we continued until 5.
Well, we're going to have the jury leave. Let's go out for a minute and we'll figure out what we're going to do, okay? All right, the jury is outside of the courtroom. What are you going to present now so I know how to handle the objection?
So this is related to pornographic searches that have to do with the topics that have been discussed so far regarding the pornography. So there's a search for dick size. There's a search or there's a website that's accessed about oral sex. There's a website that's accessed erect guys. A website that's accessed Blowjob Central. So the particular pornographic sites being accessed, I think, are fit in exactly with the other discussions of pornography in this case.
You're not going to go into any other categories, just what you mentioned.
Right, and I'm just doing a few sites. Certainly there's a lot of history there, but I'm just highlighting the ones that fit into the pattern that we've been discussing.
So it sounds like this information's already been presented to the jury and we're just showing what was in the computer.
Correct. That's why I wanted to take this up outside the presence of the jury, because if we are going to be reading every single pornographic internet address, I think it would be
But we're not
cumulative,
going to do that.
but we're not doing that.
We're going to be specific, exactly what we've already talked about.
Yes. Then I can withdraw the objection.
All right, the objection is withdrawn. You think we should let the jury go home now?
I mean, it's really up to the court and counsel.
I think we should.
All right. Then.
These are hard to watch.
I agree with you, but I guess my only concern is that I think if she can get it done by 5, I think it would be great, and then start with cross. I mean, I would love to leave right now. I'm not saying that that's not a good idea. I'm just saying that.
I think Jeremy
Stop.
wants
I'm
to
just
leave.
saying that, like,
I think your co-counsel disagrees with you.
I'm just concerned about the length of the trial. So I will leave it to the court.
I'm not going to rush this case.
No, I know.
And it's difficult to look up at screens all the time.
I'm over here
I think
taking notes on
Humans
websites.
can't handle that much. We're not robots.
That's fine, Judge.
I mean,
Yet.
the jury stares at it, and you
Yet.
could tell after a while they want a break.
We all glaze over.
You know, it's not like we have a live witness and we ask questions. We constantly
Yeah.
stop, and then they got to look at the screen.
It's just a murder trial. No big deal, right?
Has no objection to adjourning for the day.
So we're going to bring them back and say we have too much to finish today. They come back at 8:30. Okay, bring them back.
Man, I gotta say, like, this has been a lot of dick talk, man. You know, and I don't think there's any question about whether or not he's guilty. I think that right now it's all about circumstantial evidence and what's going to be permitted and what's not going to be permitted. And I mean, this whole thing is look at that freaking guy, man. This is dude is as creepy as they get. I'm just gonna say it. You know what I mean? Like, you look at him, no offense to family or friends of his that might be watching, but just saying, don't check the deep freeze. Why does he search dick size? Kathy, why does he search dick size? I don't know. He's got an obsession with the size and shape of penises, apparently. This, according to the reports from from the women in his life. He would ask like graphic detail about like all the sexual partners they'd had, that Kelly had, and he asked for them to describe their penis and what what it looked like, what size it was, how it was shaped. Yeah, he might have a massive inferiority complex or minimal inferiority complex. Just saying. I don't know. I don't know what his issue is, but he's definitely got a real fascination with dicks, like excessively. Like, he would draw pictures of them excessively, and even with Ed Klug, he said that in his planet, they had a lot of gay talk. I don't know if
Jensen matter, Mark D. Jensen,
maybe he's
2002
living his best
CF314
life in prison.
appearances are the same. The objection has
Man.
been withdrawn, folks. So the state's going to be able to ask questions in this area. We're not going to be able to finish by 5, and I don't like to drive when it's raining in the dark. So I want you to come back tomorrow. So, have a good evening. Don't talk about a case. 8:30. Thank you.
Yeah, the jury all definitely appreciates it. You'd imagine. Of course they would. This has got to be tiring for them too. I mean, it gets tiring for me to just look at screens all day. I mean, running off no sleep and then staring at a computer screen all day is not easy. I mean, I'm wearing it under my eyes here, but yeah. So, man, you guys have got to. I just posted the link again on my Facebook page, which I'm going to pull up for you here real quick. If you're watching right now,
Sure.
Thank you. I just want to make sure we do have a number of witnesses who are going to be essentially reputation for untruthfulness witnesses based on the blow up at the last time that we talked about this.
It was a blow up. I think it was just a decision I made.
Okay.
one of those has got to be better than the other. You tell me,
Well,
guys.
I didn't like it
I don't
feeling
know.
like we were getting yelled at. So I just wanted to make sure that that's not going to be an issue.
Well, you did get yelled at.
Well,
Don't make
as
me yell
long
at you
as it's
again.
Not in the order that I signed. We can get into it.
Yes.
It's not business.
And it's reputation, it's not specific instances.
I mean, let's talk about it in the morning.
This
'cause
is
I was
definitely
gonna
what
bring
that
it up
judge looked like as a
myself.
kid,
So,
right? Look at
talk
that.
about it in the morning.
Okay.
And
Got some
I have
glasses on this
another
boy.
timing issue. We do have witnesses who have to testify tomorrow because they've traveled here. And so, you know, depending on how long things take tomorrow, I might have to ask court and counsel to agree to break with this witness and get in the witnesses who have to go. That's possible. They'll be available. It's just, and they're not extremely long witnesses. Tarika Krafasi.
In Mark's mind, he's thinking,
Casey
how
Rock
long?
traveled.
Could you describe it? Like, I'm gonna do this. You tell me when to stop. Stop. Seriously? Seriously?
We're good. He
No,
can go
serious?
home.
You serious? That's not possible. Seriously?
Way too many questions before we go home.
So just alerting everybody that that's a
I understand. Try to talk to each other. You guys have seemed to been working.
You know, at least the council gets along. I'll give it that. You know, the one of the things we've seen from other trials is, especially the Daryl Brooks trial, is the council didn't get along. Of course, I'm joking because he defended himself, and he was a raging asshat. So, and he got 7 life sentences on top of, or 6 life sentences on top of 700 years. So, yep, hit the mark there. So, let me show you guys 2 things here. Actually, first of all, if you're going to follow the page, let me do this for you. I need to give you guys the business here, and hopefully it doesn't cause any overlap because it'll be 2 things on one. So, if you go to the Facebook CJTV media page, and I can show you guys right now. Actually, I'll just go share screen, and we're gonna go here. Boom. And hopefully this will do it for us. Okay, so, yeah, wrong one. Ooh. Okay, so if you do this whole meta thing over here is crazy, guys. But if you're okay, if you're looking at the CJTV media page, and you go to here, let me zoom out. I don't want to zoom all the way in there. This roguish looking handsome fellow here. Scroll down on that page, you're gonna get to right here, right? So this link right here that let me actually just give you guys a full boom. So this link right here, it'll take you to the Dropbox that has the play-by-play, and that'll give you all the details of this case that you really need. Down below it right here, this will take you to the Dropbox will have multiple videos, including the original walkthrough of the house, basic grouping of different information. Now, this one right here is what'll take you to the play-by-play of the follow link of the this deal right here. So this will be the Google collections here that you can go ahead and jump in and check out. In this, of course, is the all of his court proceedings, the court documents, all of them, which are the original petitions, the whole 9. So you've got that in there. You've also got this, which I think is important for you to take a look at because it took me forever to get it put together. But it's the 2010 trial of Mark Jensen, which is really it's got a ton of information in here, including links to different videos, the timeline, different testimonies, and that goes on. So a lot of the things that we've been getting in nickel and dime, you can get here and you can just check it out for yourself. So you don't have to walk through it all with waiting on the attorneys to do it all for you. And you'll also get this here, which is this will be when you get to the screen, you have to just click on the screen, and it'll actually take you into the walkthrough of the Jensen home when the police responded. And this is what the detective was talking about when this is inside of the Mark and Julie's room where they found her body. So Julie's letter. It's also got a short documentary link here, which is done kind of break down things as well. So if you're not really into the visual or reading it, you can kind of, I'm big on books on CD because that's the best way to read for me. But you can get into here and check it out there. So I just posted that to my Facebook page. Check that out. Also, if you're going to follow the page, right? So, let's say that we are going to go to, let's find a new page. Anybody got any recommendations here that I can think of? Would be like, I don't know. Let's search for what do we guys want? Let's go Atlanta. How about that? Atlanta United Atlanta group. So Atlanta community. There we go. Okay. So Atlanta Indian community. What else we got? So if you're going into a group, right? You want to join a group or you want to follow a page, right? Let's go into here. Atlanta Community Activism Culture Encounter. Okay, so if you're going to, let me get in here real quick. Join the group. I don't want to join this group. We're gonna go to pages. How about that? Guys, I'm not the best at this, and this is why I'm saying that this is probably good for anybody to do, which is, just the way it goes. But I'm trying to show you guys how to figure this out, which is, and a big shout out, you guys, to all the 47,000 followers we've got here on our Facebook page. It's big, and I'd love to grow that, hit 100,000 by the end of this year. If you get a chance, pop into the page, click that like button. But I'm trying to remember if you want to go ahead and we're going to look for pages. Pages. Let's go with, I don't know what V pages is, but we're going to follow. Okay. So let's go into V pages here. And let's say you want to follow whoever this person is, V pages. You hit follow, right? But after you've hit follow, it'll say following, right? And I believe you still have to click on, if you click on following again, this is what you have to do, mind you guys. So do this. Click on following again, and it's gonna, you'll see all their posts in their usual order, right? Notifications. This is where we need to adjust things. So it just has it set to highlights, is how it is right now. So what you need to do is go into, I believe standard, right? Video would be suggested video notifications. I think all video notifications from this page is what you need to do. So if you go into video on my page, if you're following me, hit follow again, and then go into video and set it up for all notifications. And I think right now it picks and chooses by algorithm who and what gets to see what, and live videos as well, all live videos. You need to click on that. So I'm going to do a quick tutorial on that once I get done with this, again, to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. And then don't worry about the limited time discount. And favorites, let me see. You'll see posts higher in your feed, and then you want to go ahead and click on favorites. All right, do that for me. I appreciate it. It definitely helps us kind of keep the ball rolling here. And then you want to hit update, right? Boom. So now it's favorited, and it's going to have all updates. So any notification that comes through, I have no idea what this V pages is, so hopefully it's not garbage, but I can always unfollow it. And if you don't like me, you can always go in and unfollow. So that being said, best way to jump on board here is to make sure in your notifications you have it set up for all notifications for videos, live feeds, and any kind of posts that I put up. So but on my Facebook page, you'll find, like I said, that link that takes you to the all of the details page, and then the Dropbox, which I'll be continually adding things to as this court case goes on. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because we have other cases coming up that are pushing up on us here in the next couple of weeks, and so it's going to be tough to cover all of them, right? And I know we have a grouping of people that are following us here for this Mark Jensen trial. We're going to try to stay with it. At the same time, we might have to do alternating days for different cases, depending on where the cases are and how they're going. I'm going to be doing a little bit of traveling. Yeah, this guy back here. Yeah, it reminds me to stay humble, humble and grateful at all times. Yeah, Jenny Lynn, it's the hit. So when these cases are going to be going on, we're going to have to pick and choose which days we're going to cover what cases. But like I said, I'm going to be traveling. I'll be in LA for a little while. next week, but I'll still have the stream. We'll have it running live. You might see that little, this guy in the corner here, where it'll be this box in the lower left corner where my name is. And that's just because I'm not able to actually run my camera at the time, but I'll still be in ear and commenting and listening to the case, keeping up with it. I'm going to be trying to bounce between cases while I'm doing what I'm doing in LA. And then there's a chance we might be in South Carolina as well for a little bit, and Virginia as well for different things that are happening here in the next month, and the next 2 months really. So a lot going on. So you want to make sure you have notifications set up. And if you're not following me on YouTube, or if you're following on YouTube and you're not following on Facebook, cross platforms, you want to do that. And make sure to share the stream. It's not much to make it happen. And if you don't, like I said, Rip here will definitely take you to the train station. And you don't want that, because if you know anything about Rip, he's all business all day, all the time. The man does not fool around. Yeah, tip of the old cowboy hat to Yellowstone. It's a boss show. But it's easy to do. It costs you nothing, and it helps me greatly just sharing the stream. Okay, good. People are downloading it right now. Good deal. So we've got like 4 of those, four times now. We've already, just as we've been talking, we got 4 downloads. So that's good. I appreciate you guys doing that. Hopefully I'm not, downloading all my passwords, because honestly, this guy, the internet dude, Jensen has some info. Granted, it's from '98, but I'm realizing how much I don't know about the internet as we sit here, because I could be better. I could be a lot better considering where I spend the majority of my time for business. But we're doing okay. What else? We've got a couple minutes here till 5. Let me see here. We've got. Let me get us dialed in on the other page here. So, but yeah, all this dick talk. I'm gonna give this to you one more time, just because it cracks me up. And
For some reason, I don't know why, just kind of sit around all day and draw pictures of dicks.
What?
Draw pictures of dicks.
Dicks? Like a man dick?
Yeah, like a man dick.
that's basically summarizing everything about what we've been hearing for the last couple of days. Which is wild. Just a lot of dick talk, man. I'm looking at. Oh, you know what? You know what's wild? Okay, this is one that I'm curious about, and I want to hear your opinion about this. I know it's been going on for a little bit, but this one is, and we're not going to show all of the details, all of the the full stream, because it's it's graphic by nature. But let's do this here real fast. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this situation, which happened down in Texas, and this was the shooting that took place down in Texas. What's going on is this guy over on the left here, up by the door, is robbing the place at gunpoint, and he's got people getting on the floor. He's going around taking people's money, taking people's belongings. This guy, if you see him in the middle left there, the bald guy with the blue shirt on, you can tell he's fidgeting a bit. He's going for something, right? This person's going table to table, gets through here, and then as he's walking out, he's picking up his money that he's dropped. Right now, I'm going to stop right here. This guy, because again, this is where it gets. It doesn't get graphic. You can't see anything. I just don't know what the rules are. All of these things with Facebook and YouTube, but this guy on the left gets up and shoots this guy in the black 9 times. He shoots him a couple times, puts him down, walks up to him, shoots a couple more times, takes his gun, shoots him one more time, I think in the head. And now he's looking at, there's a possibility he might be charged with who, I'm not sure exactly what it is at this point, but yeah, what's wild. So what we got over here? So this happened on January 6th. The incident was just before 11:30 p.m. at a taqueria and in Texas. Now, what I was curious about is, what do you guys think about that? Is it overkill? I mean, when they say overkill, anything that I've learned from any of the classes that I've taken in anything was where concealed carry permits was that if you pull the trigger, you keep pulling the trigger until it clicks, so you run out of bullets, right? And so when they're saying it's overkill, I think that it's tough because he shot him to basically disarm him and to end the threat. But what they're saying is that did he go too far? Did he was it overkill? Stand your ground states concealed carry permit holders and growing lack of confidence in police to protect communities. If you guys can hear that right now. Well, here, let me show you guys this real quick. And this is just a quick news broadcast that came via the way. So this guy right here, they're just talking about what happened. So hopefully it decides to play for us. Anytime now. Okay, well, we were doing good there for a second, but how about we refresh this real quick?
God looks good.
Oh my God. I'm not doing this. We're not doing ads. This is garbage. This is garbage. Anyway, so yeah, it's interesting. This case, which is coming up, they're saying, yeah, that's the question I have: is what is overkill when you're eliminating threat? But who knows? I mean, he might just go ahead and claim like, hey man, I didn't know what was going on. He might have had another weapon. We don't know. New tales from the Delphi murder. Let me see. We had in trial today as well was let's run over to Court TV here real quick and take a look at what's going on. The Alden manslaughter charges explained. Oh yeah, you got okay. Speaking of gun safety and whatnot, so yeah, let's check this out real quick. I'm curious about this one actually.
What we need to look at is involuntary manslaughter. Basically, what that requires is that somebody acted without due caution and circumspection, and it's a negligence standard, meaning would a reasonable person have done the same in the same or similar circumstances? Now, somebody had asked about case law in New Mexico. We are actually very limited with case law on that, especially dealing with crops and that type of situation.
Okay, so what would a reasonable person do in those circumstances? So remember, there are many different kinds of homicides, and not all homicides are crimes. So let's be clear on that. But this is criminal conduct that's being alleged here against Alec Baldwin and against Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who was acting as both the armorer and the prop master on the Rust movie set. It's a fourth-degree felony. And we're
Really
talking about
negligent, juvenile,
something
and
that was
didn't really have what it
unlawful
needs
and
to
actions that might have produced a death
be doing that
because
on
of
the
negligence. So I want to take a look at the law. We have it. We can put it up on your screen so that you can see it. This is the actual statute we pulled. If you're curious, all the laws in the various states in America are, of course, different because the states are sovereign here. This is especially for all of our wonderful Court TV viewers who are abroad in the United Kingdom and in various places. So this is how New Mexico lays it out. So here it is the involuntary manslaughter that is being charged here. So let's be clear about what part of the homicide statute they're going with here. Are they going to be able to meet their burden of proof? We shall see. Let me bring back in my guests for some more discussion on this point. I have with me two gentlemen that are both practicing criminal defense attorneys, Daryl Cohen and Josh Ritter. They both also have served as prosecutors. And I also have with me an expert in movie set safety, prop master and armorer, Dutch Merrick. Dutch has also served as the president of his local IATSE union chapter as well. He's had an illustrious career in Hollywood, and he knows how tragic this is. So you gentlemen are really great people to talk to about these charges. And Josh, let me go to you, tapping into everything that prosecutors have to consider. This took an awfully long time for a decision to be announced. I know that 600 pieces of evidence were gathered by the sheriff's department. 3 firearms were retrieved from the scene. 500 rounds of ammunition perhaps were examined. I mean, a lot went into this, lots of interviews done. Talk to me about the weighty decision to file charges in a case like this one, where nobody meant for someone to die.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did do an incredibly thorough job and took their time. And we understand why now. It is a difficult decision. Putting aside for the fact for a moment that you're dealing with a celebrity and this horrible killing on set of a movie, any time that you're dealing with charging someone, holding them responsible for the death of someone else where there doesn't appear to be any clear intent is going to be a decision that the DA's office is really going to have to mull over in their heads. Now you're dealing with a very small county. They've never experienced something of this kind of media attention before, this kind of magnitude in the past. They're dealing with a high-profile celebrity. They know that everyone is watching. They know that people like ourselves are going to be talking about every step that they take. And so they really went about being thorough about this because they realize what's on the line here in charging this person, and are they going to be able to prove it? Because that's the last thing you want to do is bring these types of charges and then not be able to back it up.
Exactly. Well said, Josh. Daryl Cohen, let me go to you next on this one, please. We know that one of these individuals who was involved in this incident has already accepted a plea agreement offered by the state. His name is David Halls. He was the assistant director on the film, not to be confused with the director, Joel Souza, who wound up being shot in the shoulder by the same round that killed Helena Hutchins. Dave Halls has accepted this plea to the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. It's a suspended sentence for him and an agreement for 6 months of probation. We haven't seen the plea agreement. It's going to be filed eventually with the court, and we'll get to take a look at it.
Some people have better lawyers than others, right?
Do you think that plea agreements were also offered to Alec Baldwin and Hannah Gutierrez Reed?
I would be very surprised, Julie, if they were not. I suspect
Should they be
the DA's
charged, or
office
should they not?
wants to be thorough, as they apparently were. They also want to put this
Your
behind
opinion.
them
What do you guys think?
Because by charging Alec Baldwin as what he did, again, in my view, unless there are other facts that we are not yet aware of, he was a reasonable person. And as an actor, there's this whole chain of events before this gun is provided to him. There is no way an actor should know that the weapon is loaded with live ammunition. So I suspect there was a plea agreement offered, and I also don't know, that they turned it down because in Alec's opinion, in his lawyer's opinion, it was a tragic accident, that he was the end of the road, but he had no way of knowing what was the road before.
So one of the things that I have talked to down on sets in Los Angeles with some people down there that work in the industry while I'm down there is that the the celebrities have, well, the actors have a responsibility to make sure that the weapons that they're using are safe to use. So, but they have a prop master, an armory master. So these people that are supposed to be in charge of these props and that are in charge of, especially when you're using munitions of any kind, that are responsible for these things. Now, apparently the gentleman who was supposed to be working this particular shoot, filming production, we'll say, not to keep it in joke form, but placed someone that wasn't fully, I guess, qualified. And then they were doing things that they shouldn't have been doing on the set, which it was like they were shooting the gun with live rounds, doing practice shots, practice shooting. And basically they put this in a situation where the gun itself was not being handled properly. And then these rounds were introduced. So what I'm getting at is that there's a wide world of gun safety, right? And I think that one of the things that we've looked past is that, we inevitably are responsible for what we put in our hands and what we do with our hands, right? So, but we also have to take care of ourselves and protect ourselves and those around us. So, it's a hotbed of controversy, you know what I mean? The gun safety, gun control. I know they just changed some of the laws out here in Wisconsin about and Illinois, so the new, let me pull this up for you guys real fast. Illinois gun laws here. So they have Illinois assault weapon ban. So where are we at over here? I want to pull this up. The most recent one for you here. So here we go. Then this is coming out of the NRA website. So let me put this here so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Nope. Oh man. Okay, sorry. This one. Boom, there we go. There's a whole process here, guys. It's not just me dinking around. But so this is what we are. Let's do this. All right, there we go. I gotta do this properly, or it won't work for us. And here we go. Boom. So it says here, Illinois, the House passes gun and mag ban, right? So last night, so this is from January 6th, right? Yeah, January 6th on Friday. So the Senate Bill 2226, as amended, bans many semi-automatic firearms that law-abiding citizens commonly own for self-defense, competition, and recreation, bans magazines that can hold more than 12 rounds of ammunition, and combinations of parts from which one can be assembled, bans 50 million. You see what I'm looking at there, right? Let me just zoom in for 50 caliber BMG firearms and ammunition, and expands the duration of the state's red flag firearm restraining order by increasing it from 6 to 12 months. Citizens may only lawfully keep their banned firearms if they register them. They may only keep banned magazines if they permanently modify them to hold no more than 12 rounds. And so this is, of course, from the NRA website. So they're saying, if you want to oppose 2226, feel free to go there. But this was in, so this is, the House voted 64-43 to pass Bill 2226. This is in Illinois that we're talking about right now. But this is, the House, State Senate. So we're not just talking. Illinois is actually doing their own thing, right? The amended bill contains much of the language from House Bill 5855, banning commonly owned firearms and magazines. It will now go to Senate for concurrence. Only a few days remain in lame duck session, so please contact. Okay, so anyway, so the guns and out in this area, it's definitely been a hot topic because people talk about who should have guns, who shouldn't, what types of guns you should have, the length of the gun, the barrel therein, and I'm curious about what your thoughts are. I was talking with some friends the other night about carrying a concealed weapon now for the first time, and at one point she was saying that she hadn't considered it, and her husband was like, "Yeah, I never would have thought she would." And then they went to a gun show here in Kenosha and ended up shopping one out. And I think it took putting one in her hand to realize how it felt. And it wasn't such a scary item it wasn't such a foreign object, to hold a handgun. But then the prospect of having one to protect yourself, then it comes down to the proper training and procedure of use, and you want to make sure that you're not just being cavalier with a firearm. And I think that's where, not to bring up a hot point, but that's where I think the Rittenhouse thing was a big deal. Is that, did he have the proper training? Did he have the proper, life savvy to know when and how to carry a gun? And it's gone back and forth from all the different groups of people about how that went down. When do you need to defend yourself? I'm not talking about Rittenhouse specifically now, but I mean, when do you need to defend yourself? How do you defend yourself? At what point do you pull a gun? I mean, it's a tough one, and it's hard to know what the right answer is, because nowadays I think it's more difficult to identify what a threat is, because there's so many loud gestures that people make. There's a lot of, part of my language, a lot of fuck you talk, gas stations, grocery stores, you see it at Walmart, people that are stealing things, that are just pushing their way past people, right? Like, that would have been, grounds for someone would have pulled a gun on them back in the day. But nowadays it almost seems like there's a very edgy confrontational vibe in a lot of societal interactions. And what happens with that is, I think some people aren't conditioned to be thick-skinned enough to know how to handle that kind of abrupt interaction with someone who might not be so graceful and tactful with their ways. And that's where we see a lot of these Karens and Todds, right? They don't get it when things don't go their way or happen the way they think they should. And so they freak out and lay on the ground and scream in front of a moving truck or whatever it might be, in extreme cases. But I think sometimes people, they don't know what to do, and they flip out and they pull a weapon, because they just don't know how to handle, bumping shoulders with somebody. I mean, you can have your shoes stepped on once or twice, and appreciate that it's just a pair of shoes. But there are those people that, if it happens, they're going straight to blows. And then in the world we live in, I think a lot of people don't appreciate that. I got to be careful with that. It's not so much that people don't appreciate. There is a tough line that we need to draw, because you don't know what a credible threat is. A 6-year-old shot a teacher. You know what I mean? That happened. There was that video we watched yesterday where there was a toddler, waving around, playing with a loaded handgun. I mean, you guys did you see this? The baby with the gun? If you didn't watch, this was crazy. Baby with the gun, in Indiana, I believe this was. They have this child that was, a toddler. A toddler was found waving this gun, right? Like, it's crazy. So someone was arrested, obviously, for negligence, I'm sure, and for a billion other reasons why you should probably go after somebody who has a firearm within access of a toddler, and then has a toddler with the opportunity to get a hold of said weapon. It just blows my mind. But these are kind of the things that we're seeing nowadays, and it's going to pull up here in a second, but and this is at an apartment building, and it's really taking its sweet time. All right. Just bear with me. I was just trying to push us up to the 5 o'clock hour here, which we are now at. So let me yeah, here we go. So this is an odd video that it's showing. I'm just not going to fight it anymore. We're going to go ahead and run it right quick. So this is this kid right here.
Of the
toddler with a loaded handgun.
This is the child with the loaded weapon. This was the piece of evidence.
In there pulling the trigger.
Pulling the trigger
click,
right there.
Click,
Pulling the
click.
trigger. Yep. Only one.
Right? I mean, that's terrifying. That should terrify anybody. That kid easily could have, I mean, not just shot somebody else, but shot himself. I mean, you know, and then you have, not that I just want to showcase all these crazy things, but I mean, it's the reality of the world we're living in right now. This is where the, you don't even have to just type in 6 into Google. I mean, just so, and this is the most recent information about the 6-year-old accused of shooting their teacher in Newport, I believe, is the and so according to the New York Times here, let's no, that's not it. Let's do this here. People have been telling me to do this more podcast style, which would be where I do all of this and then cut, clip, edit, do all that. But we do it live because I like to see the comments and as we do it. And so, but we'll probably have to go into that someday. So if you have any knowledge, information, or ability to help do video editing and whatnot, feel free to hit me up. So here we go. This is the one right here. So this is via the New York Times. His child has previously been accompanied by a parent every day in school, but that stopped the week of the shooting, his family said, saying he has an acute disability. So people gathered for the vigil for Abigail Werner, the first grade teacher who was shot at Rich Neck Elementary School. Now, so the 6-year-old boy who was accused of bringing a gun to school and shooting his teacher in Newport News, Virginia this month, has an acute disability and had been under an intensive care plan at school, his family said on Thursday in its first statement since the shooting on January 6th. The statement released through the family's lawyer said that the boy had previously been accompanied. The week of the shooting, we will regret our absence on this day for the rest of our lives, the family said. Okay, where'd the kid get the gun, though? The statement also said that the gun, which the authorities said the boy brought from home, had been secured, but did not explain how the boy had gotten access to it. The police declined to comment. No one has been charged in the case so far. A spokesperson from the Newport News Police Department said on Thursday the Newport News School District declined to comment, citing student privacy. The new details add context to a painful case in which the police say the 6-year-old obtained a handgun at home, brought it to Rich Neck Elementary School, and pulled the trigger in his first grade classroom, seriously injuring his teacher, Abigail Werner, 25. She has been released from the hospital, so she's on the mend right now. The child's history also raises questions about the school's response on the day of the shooting, when district officials say that an employee at Rich Neck Elementary, acting on a tip, searched the boy's backpack for a gun. No weapon was found at the time, the school district said. Later, around 2 p.m., the police said the boy held up a handgun in his first grade classroom and fired one shot at his teacher. So, okay. The child's history also raises questions about the school's response on the day of the shooting. This is odd to me, right? When district officials say that an employee at Rich Neck Elementary, acting on a tip, searched the boy's backpack for a gun on that day, somehow. Later, though, at 2 p.m., the boy had a gun and shot it. So obviously the gun was on the person, but you'd imagine that they would have searched that the kid then, if they'd said, hey, there's a chance this kid has a gun. You know, now they're talking about the metal detectors at the school, and I'm curious if this has anything. School searched a 6-year-old's backpack before. No, we're not going to do it. Oh, you've reached the limit of your free articles. Well, I'm not paying for your newspaper. How about that? We're not doing that one. Anyway, not to go too much further into shootings and things of the type, but yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happening around the world right now and around the country. But that's it for me today. Tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. We will be back Friday the 20th. Can't believe it's already Friday. That blows my mind. for 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time coverage of the Mark Jensen murder trial, otherwise known as the antifreezekiller. If you would please share the stream to friends, family, whomever might be interested, or if you think they're not interested, but you might be able to get them to just jump in for whatever reason, do that as well. CJTV, I'm your host, CJ, and I definitely appreciate you joining us today and for keeping the comments in the community so engaged and above board. You guys are great. The jokes are fantastic. It's what I do as well. I tend to lean towards levity when it comes towards these serious situations because it helps me process. As you guys have all come to know about me. And if you don't know that about me, you're going to figure that out. I'm going to just joke. I'm going to make jokes, and it's going to happen because it helps, also breaks the monotony of some of these court cases. But in all seriousness, you need to go ahead and make sure to get your notifications set up properly. Like I showed you, you got to go into the follow, as in following, and then update it to all, and then put it at favorites. We need to do this. We should be getting notifications. Even our mods aren't getting notifications, and we've got 47,000 plus people on our Facebook page here. We should be getting a lot more views than, you know, a couple thousand, a couple hundred, a couple dozen, you know. So Darrell Brooks trial that took off, had a couple 100,000 views on those videos, but we need these to take off. You know? We got to grow the channel, guys. We got a lot of stuff to cover, and we can't do that if we don't grow. If we're not growing, we're dying, and I feel too vibrant to be dying, y'all. So we got to keep this pushing in the right direction. So between now and tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m., I appreciate you guys, and just want to remind you.
You need Jesus.
And we'll catch you on the flip.